quick before I forget. All right, what is this? All right. Um, testing, testing. I think this is the earliest you've been. All right. Can hi, I always Haley Mill. Can you guys hear me on YouTube? Just say yes if you can hear me on YouTube, but everybody can hear me here. Hi, Judge. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine, my dear. Everything is okay.
So you've been busy this summer. I put so listen. I'm so proud of myself. I I did a pre-record. I pre-recorded a short video yesterday, and I put on the thumbnail Lion Negro Network, and it was Roland Martin and Tyrese. And I was really going at Roland Martin. Thank you, Robert Brown. You can hear me. Thank you, guys. Um, and so I was calling Roland Martin basically a liar because Roland Martin and people that go on his channel, they're running around here saying that because Tyrese made a statement, he was talking to Ben Crumpet. He was like, "Why is it that this administration never created a bill or any type of public policy or executive order, like a hate crime bill for Black Americans? We never had that, but they do it for Asian Americans." So he was doing a compare and contrast. And then Roland Martin takes to his phone to record himself calling Tyrese stupid and saying, "We've had all of these bills for Black American, the Civil Rights Act, the Black Church, which was the Arson Act, the Matthew Shepard James Byrd Act, um, and the Emmett Till lynching." But those bills were for all American and never specified specifically Black Americans like the COVID-19 bill did. So I did a video on that, and it's doing very well because usually when my videos do good, it's because of you. So I want to pat myself on the back. But this space, I said, what are we going to talk about? Well, I want to double down on Roland Martin because he needs to be canceled. Black people need to cancel Roland Martin. And I put Lion Negroes. And I also added Uncle Luke, right? Because he's ignorant. He's probably being paid by the Democrats, and he's been talking a lot of BS on X Spaces, and he actually called you out one X Space saying "F Judge Joe Brown," and I did request to come up there, but then all of a sudden when I went up to speak, he shut down the space. So these are idiots trying to speak for Black Americans, and I'm just tired of it. And I'm tired of this misinformation being passed around and just people being misguided. And you said it earlier today when I spoke to you, if you tell a lie long enough, even a liar will start to believe the lie. So yeah. And what else? Kamala's still doing her Black accent. And oh, I wanted to bring this up. Isaac Hayes Jr. called himself suing Trump, saying that he doesn't want him using his father's song during his rallies. And the judge sided with him, but he doesn't have to take down anything that was already put up, and he didn't win any money. So everybody's calling Trump a racist, but why is he playing this black man music or whatever? So, and then I just want to let people know if you could request to come up, it is still open mic. So if anything you want to talk about or ask the judge, you can. And yeah, so go ahead, Judge.
Oh, well, my comment is I've lived here for a very, very long time in this country. In fact, all my life, which has been moderately lengthy, not very lengthy, but moderately so. This is my home, and the operator's manual for this thing is very interesting because it's a profoundly wise and erudite experiment in human governance, probably the best anybody's ever come up with. It's still perfecting itself, and I do not like people who try to subvert that. I don't care what side you're on, black, white, brown, red, yellow. And as far as that goes, everybody once came up out of Africa where they were mighty dark. Some went to Europe, got mighty pale. Some went to Asia, got yellow. Some came to North America, got red. Some came back around, and there was brown. And it's all around town. We're all the same from Africa, black, white, brown, red, yellow. We're all humans. And I hate people who try to subvert what humanity is all about and try to turn it into something that deals with their own particular problems. Understand people have problems, but everybody doesn't need to suffer because somebody has those problems. And we do have a set of character traits that have arisen during the course of humanity's development: duty, honor, obligation, responsibility, accountability, making where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, and ethics, and people who live in a given place dedicated to the proposition that public peace, dignity, and order is a good thing. And when you find somebody that's trying to corrupt that because they're too cowardly to stand up and deliver when they're supposed to and tear down character, then I keep thinking of that old thing. What is it? Hard times breed strong men make good times breed weak men cause hard times. We are in that cycle where we have had a lot of weakness breeding some bad things, and it almost looks like the country is headed into the ultimate episode of Revenge of the Nerds, and it's not healthy. We are into a cycle where, for some reason, we've got an urge to emasculate the country, but that violates the yin yang principle, and that's not healthy for anybody. So we are all different. We're all of equal value, but not necessarily equal in what we can accomplish or what we can do or in our circumstances. So, with that said, let's get on with the night and we can deal with the folk who've been trying to corrupt that and fail to understand that there are consequences and no one is entitled because the world itself will eat you up. Now, good
Yeah.
evening, everyone.
So, like I said, if you guys want to request to come up, please do so. I do want to start off talking about Roland Martin and these public policies that's supposed to be specifically for Black Americans. Also, I want to bring up the California reparations because, and it's not funny, but it's funny because there's Black people basically got shitted on by your own people, stabbed you in the back. And so the overall consensus where I'm coming from is everyone, certain people on the left want to scare Black people with racism and all this other stuff, not understanding is someone that looks like you that is actually working against you. They're supposed to be advocating for you, but they are controlled by someone putting money in their pocket to work on their agenda and to stab you in the back. But they feed you this narrative of you are oppressed and Trump is a racist, the Republicans are racist, blah, 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 blah. So several things. And then of course, like I said, it's open mic, anybody can talk about whatever. So I want to ask you before I get to Real Queen, um, what are your thoughts on Roland Martin and his ideology and saying that Black Americans have all these bills specifically for us?
What's going on? The way I look at it is it's not even about politics. It's about the spread of a new cult. the cult of the rainbow. It's not about gay, it's not about straight, it's the cult of the rainbow. And they are about abolishing all of the things that led us from cave to condo in terms of the establishment of human character and its virtues. I just touched on those with my opening remarks, and they are against that because they're cowards and they don't want to be judged. And one of their mantras is no shame, no guilt, because they fail. They simply do not have the intestinal fortitude to do what is necessary to uphold the bargain that they've entered into by simply being born and being human, either male or female. That's what it is. They don't want to deal with it. So if I can explain this, contemplate Buddhism. It's an ancient and honorable religion, but it's a philosophy of behavior. It has no God, no deity. You can have one or not. It is not mandated by Buddhism, nor Confucianism for that matter. But it is a system of conduct that people believe in. And this particular cult is unique in human history in so much as it's about nihilism, nothing at all. And I touched on that in the opening remarks. So, what we have with Roland Martin is he's a disciple, an apostle of this cult. He stands for nothing except what is desirable or enjoyable for self. And humans cannot always operate on the basis of what feels good because a lot of what needs to be done in terms of fulfilling one's obligations to deal with duty and honor, those things are very uncomfortable and they might require personal risk, if not death. That's why we have honor that we give to our veterans who have upheld our causes. That's why we have the system that we have, which is one that has collateral consequences that are sometimes unpleasant to things that are very important. It's like you drive a car on a freeway doing 65 and a multi-ton contrivance. You set yourself up for horrendous mutilation or death if things go even slightly wrong. But we accept those collateral consequences as a result of the utility from being able to operate those vehicles. The same thing with the kind of system we have. And I will shorten this up drastically, but we have a Bill of Rights, we have a Constitution, we have amendments, and certain persons that Roland Martin uh, shall we say, is a part of the cabal that they have are trying to subvert those values so that we have a totalitarian fascist government dedicated to the proposition that some people are more important than others, more equal than others, as Orwell put in Animal Farm, and more deserving of protection, so everyone else should be unprotected, unable to protect themselves, so they are sheltered from the consequences of their ill advised choices. Now, that said, I sure want to laugh out loud at what Roland Martin did to himself with that video he released, where when he was in the process of recording over another recording, he, shall we say, hit the play button without hitting the record button, and we got to see some interesting things that he seems to like. Now, those things were from another, shall we say, operation, but the fact that he recorded them kind of is indicative of where he's coming from. And I swear I wanted to laugh out loud when I saw that, and it's all over X. Take a look at it. And he got mad at people for reposting it. I think Angela Stanton King really put it out there. Thank you, Miss King. She's a friend of mine, so I enjoyed that.
Yeah, he basically outed himself and he responded
Mm,
to Angela Staten King saying that, oh, that happens all the time from my iPad. When a clip ends, a video would just randomly pop up. And it's like, dude, that's even if that's the case, that is your algorithm suggesting certain things because that's what your algorithm does. Do me a favor, Judge. A couple of people on the YouTube were saying that they can't hear you. Can I don't know if the phone is near you, but just speak up a little bit or turn your volume up a little bit
Well,
more.
actually, I have on some headphones and a mic. So I will try a bit. I'll speak up louder. How about that one? You getting a good vibe on that? Sound check, mic check,
You
one,
sound
two, five, four.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't know, maybe turn the volume on your phone up a little, but and it's only two people, so maybe you guys just turn up your volume on YouTube. Now if Catalia, let me know if you think the judge is low, because sometimes people just be complaining to be complaining. Um so before I go to Road Queen and G Rich and anybody else want to request to speak, please request come up. Do we have policies specifically for Black Americans?
I didn't answer that on purpose. I want to hear what the audience has to say.
Okay.
I've always said for a long time, I think it's inappropriate to have anything out there that favors one group over another unless it is remedial, and that is simply to right a wrong and bring somebody back on equal footing. What happens when you're on equal footing is what you are capable of achieving. But if somebody puts you on unequal footing, I can see the call being merited to equitably restore that equal footing so everybody uh, not getting the same necessary benefits, but getting no restrictions. Kind of works that way. The world is a savage place.
Okay.
And by the way, what happened in California with the reparations, I said it way back when. They're lying. This is a group of people trying to maintain a desperate control over some slaves, mental slaves on their plantation, the Blue Plantation, and they set it up to look like a technicality defeated them when they had absolutely no intention or capacity to go further because essentially California is broke and busted and it cannot afford it. And there's a thing called well, let's put it this way, ballot initiatives. And considering the demographics of the state of California, even if they passed it, there would shortly be a ballot initiative, and what was accomplished would be defeated. So it's neither here nor there. It was just a grandstand show. That's right.
Okay. Katalia, please let me know if I'm low or if the judge is still low. I need to make sure. Um, oh no, what I'm doing here. I gotta share this. Okay. Yeah, just let me know. Um, and Judge, yeah, I'm gonna need you to speak up a little bit because now there's more than three people saying that you're slightly low. Turn your volume up or put the
I actually am speaking quite loudly. I will yell if that's necessary.
I don't know. It's just something I don't know. You do sound a little bit lower this week. I don't know. I don't know. Um
Maybe they've been messing with my phone a little more than usual because I've been getting on a certain jackass fake lot, and that goes against the mainstream narrative.
all right. So everyone here on X Space can hear you good. And you know, I'm sorry guys on YouTube. If he's low, just turn your mics all the way up. I'm actually listening on my other phone and he's not low to where you could barely hear him. You could still hear him. He's just not as loud as me. But anyway, let me go to Real Queen, then G Rich. And like I said, anybody else want to request to come up, it is still open mic. You don't have to talk necessarily about Roland Martin or Uncle Luke. You never heard of Uncle Luke. You never heard of the Two Live Crew. He's trash anyway. Um, you don't have to talk about that. If you want to talk about bring up something else, you most certainly can. But go ahead, Bro Queen.
Okay, test one. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
loudly and clearly.
Okay, perfect. My introduction, first and foremost. Hailing all the way from the Crescent City, do you dig me? In the Trump gold, red, white, and blue corner. The people's champion, the debate prepped, battle hardened, intellectual warrior scholar, undisputed champion heavyweight of the world, Alicia for America. First and foremost, guys, I have to apologize. I won't be able to stay for the remainder of this discourse, but I do have a list to get into tonight. First and foremost, Roland Roly Poly Martin, heart disease Martin, is the typecast of the Negro slave in America, the sellout, the true coon in the hells of North America, perpetuated and facilitated by the Demo KKK rat party. Okay, he's suckling on the Democrat titty hardcore. He's not to be trusted. He's a perpetual liar selling us out. Okay, now I've heard talk that in the city of Chicago, Chirac Blue failed Chicago. There are Negroes calling 911 because Venezuelan freaking gangs are taking over their apartment communities. Well, first and foremost, I tried to warn you, Negroes, not to vote for Biden Harris, okay? Because this would happen. But did you listen? Hell no, you didn't listen. But the question for you all is why, for the life of you, are you calling 911? Come on, talk black to me instead of picking up your gat the way you do on your Negro brothers and sisters. That's first and foremost. Second issue of business tonight, I heard there was a video.
Wait, one
Very.
second, real Queen, because your phone is clicking. What is that clicking?
I'm not sure what the clicking is. I'll try to stabilize it, whatever it is. Okay, is it better? Is it still clicking or no?
That's better.
Okay. Tonight, you guys, I'm here to speak on the shame out of Black America. I'm the only one who can do it. I'll give you no passes. I'm not your mama. Okay. I'm not here to be your comfort, your entertainment. That's not how this works. Okay. But I heard there was a story trending across TikTok and the internet of all things. Some Negro in the Arizona Mills Mall. Let's talk about it. Called himself father to his 6-year old daughter. He said that Venezuelan gang members were attempting to kidnap his daughter. Well, first and foremost, the cardinal mistake he made was he was walking out front of his daughter, not watching his daughter or having his daughter walk in front of him as the father, the rock, and the protector. He was walking in front of his 6-year-old daughter. Disgraceful. Man up and protect your children. He wanted to go on a video talking about, oh, I was so scared. It was so shocking. It's like, well, man, the hell up and protect your child, fool. And now the second issue of business we have tonight. This talk and speculation, innuendo, you dig, of Donald Trump being possibly sentenced to Rikers Island on September 18th is BS. But how did we get here, patriots? Well, we got Black people to think of that. And the whore of Babylon, come on, talk black to me, is no white woman. Come on. because everybody knows right now, and everybody knows who's running America. And it ain't no white woman. It's the black woman, the single bastard baby making hoe of Babylon. Y'all all right with this? We all right, sister girl. Now, I'm just getting warmed up. These hoes single handedly are celebrating come swallower. What? No, she didn't. Kamala Harris. And you are voting for her because they give you nothing, but they give you the promise of free shite. They are paying you Negroes all across America to champion for your Indian president. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm not for her. And Merrick Garland, Mr. So called no one's above the law, had the audacity, what? To say no one's above the law, but knowingly allowed Jack Smith, a fraud, to perpetuate. He was a department of the US government and to go after Trump as special counsel. That's total hypocrisy and BS. But here's the thing, patriots, you need to know. Just as the Demo KKK rap party swapped candidates when Trump whooped Biden's ass in that first debate, we too can swap candidates. And here's how. Thanks to the Marxist radical left's meddling interference in this election, we can have a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and J.D. Vance ticket. But then the question has to be, what are the Marxist lefts going to say when it's no longer a Trump to blame? Come on. When there's no longer a Donald John Trump to use as a fall guy, what will they do? What will they say? You jigaboo Negroes across America. Come on, talk to me.
All right.
Sit, sit your ass down and wait.
All
I'm
right.
talking.
So what we gonna
Shut your mouth. I'm not finished talking.
All right, so we haven't been doing the space in a minute, but let me just put a disclaimer out there. Everybody, please stay on your mic until it's your turn to speak. And Real Queen, you can start landing your plane now because I need to
Yeah,
get.
I'm out of here since I'm a jigaboos and all that shit is popping. I'm out. Y'all be good.
All right, then just leave. Why are you still coming off your mic? She said jigaboo. If that bothers you, just leave. I'm not babysitting kids. You can land your plane, Real Queen.
All right, I'm about to land my plane. Now, where was I at? Into the porch monkey. Got irritated.
Yeah, please
Come
do
on.
not call anybody names. Don't call it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me land this plane.
Yeah,
Let me land.
Land.
Okay.
Land.
All right. Okay. So, like I said, if we choose to swap candidates, what will they do? Okay. It's going to be a hailstorm for sure. Now,
Your phone,
just close.
Real Queen, your phone is clicking. Let me
okay. I would
just mute her for right now.
No, hold on. I can do it right now. I'm going to land.
Leaving.
I'm going to land. Just let me land. So I will leave y'all with this. How about you Negroes stop complaining about reparations? And this is a hot topic item because y'all's leader, Tariq Nasheed, chose an Indian name as opposed to a Black American name rooted in your lineage to lead you. So it's tomfoolery to the highest degree from infantile Negroes. And so, Black America, it is time to wake up, do better.
Come on.
And I'm landing this plane right there. Hitting too hard.
All right.
TKO.
Thank you. Go ahead, G Rich.
All right, finally. How y'all doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me on, Judge. I hope you all, Dana, you and Judge had a great Labor Day, and everybody else. Judge, I was barbecuing, and I realized I didn't have your sauce, so I gotta go ahead and try that. And I'll send you my Creole seasoning blend that I have too. I know you got a copy. You got one already. Um,
Actually, it hasn't come yet. I've been looking for that. Are you sure you sent it to the right
I
address?
had sent it. Well, I had sent this like last year. I didn't know if you say you used all of it up, so I got to send you some more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
I'll do that. Let me. Well, first off, I guess I can start, and I'm gonna try and keep it as condensed as I can because I know you have to get to other people. But let me just say this about Swollen Martin. Uh, Everybody knows, has been around Roland Martin knows that he's a, and I don't know if you're allowing swear him, Dana, but I won't. But I'll just say this: he's a jerk. The man is a jerk. He's self obsessed. I don't know too many as far as the video is concerned. Look, I don't know too many straight men that be wearing ascots like he does a lot. Now, and the guy is just a fool. Poor, I call him Swollen Martin because he's as arrogant as he is enormous. The guy has used his platform, going back to when he had Umar Johnson on his platform, and he brought those two Negroes out there. One who was a lesbian, the other dude who was, uh, you know, a Oriole that was up there shaming Umar over black love, and he used it to his platform to attack him. And then, if you realize his show got canceled at TV1, then on top of that, he attacked Snoop Dogg because Snoop was talking about how many times they've had slavery movies. He was tired of seeing slave movies. He went at Bow Wow over voting. He tried to go at Ice Cube, and Ice Cube wasn't having it when he had him on his platform back in 2020 about how he met with the Trump campaign. When he said, and they're trying to go at Ice Cube again, when he said he wanted to meet with both parties, the Trump campaign was the only one that responded. The Democratic campaign, campaign, did not want to sit down with him until after the election. And to my knowledge, they haven't. Now, whether you like having celebrities speak for you or not is not the big issue. The issue is what's going on and why they've neglected you. Now, Roland uses his platform like he came at Tariq, and Tariq is that dude. That video now has just given him and everybody more fire. I look how he attacked the brother in Chicago, and the brother in Chicago, who's a real man, came up to him and checked him, and he had a woman stand in front of him to try and protect him. Even with something between me, if it's an issue with me and another man, I'm never gonna let another woman get in between us, especially if it could get physical. That's just men don't do that. And he's calling having the church ladies come and give him security was just that's shared enough with me. But I don't think it could have happened to a worse person. What's happened to him now? Regards to the reparations bill, I would say this: it was a bait and switch, Judge. But reparations, what they were trying to do up in California, this wasn't just. And people get this wrong all the time, guys. It's not about reparations just for slavery. It's about remedying past discrimination and practices that have hindered Black people from uh, having the American dream. Not just about slavery. Think of it: the right to own property. Remember, the American Revolution was started because of taxation without representation. Black people weren't allowed to go and vote in these states. They weren't allowed to participate in elections, and they lost property. That thing that happened out in California with Bruce Beach that they were trying to get, they gave that back to the family, but then I think the family sold it back to the state. So that's what they were trying. That was part of what was going on here. And I even have stories, and I mean, it's happened all across the country where Black people have owned land that today, is worth billions. And remember, they were forced to leave from their properties to get this land. They would say, "Oh, you didn't go to the courthouse, you didn't get that," or they were faced with threats of violence from the Klan. So it wasn't just about it wasn't just about slavery. And I think people get that wrong when we talk about that. Now, I think that it's also proof that the Congressional Black Caucus that they have out in California and really in this country, we got to be honest. And Judge, you said this before: there's no Black leadership, there's Black moderators. That's all we see with these people. They're not leading us anywhere but to the poorhouse. They've done nothing. I look at
Oh,
even, well, I'm almost done, brother.
No,
sorry.
why are you? Can you, Bill? Can you get mute yourself up?
I can. Sorry.
Go
You know,
ahead.
I'm about to land my plane in a minute. But I look at these black leaderships, what's called black leadership. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling. I'm starting to sound like Roland. I'm like getting my freak on. You haters. At any rate, no, but these black so-called leaders, if you look at these major cities, I'm talking about from Atlanta to New Orleans, where I live, Chicago, New York, in Texas, in Houston, LA, all these places that are led by they're led by Democratic leaders, and they have failed. Both parties are not friends to us, but I gotta call the Democrat. The reason why I call them Democrats or Democrats out more than I do the Republicans is because the Democrats are the ones black people are voting for time and time again. We keep voting for them time and time again and not getting anything out of our vote. And maybe it's time for a change. It's time for us to go and vote, you know, for an independent person or even what Judge is talking about, if the numbers go up, and I believe they will, like Donald Trump, I'm just believing this. I think that what happened in California, and even what's just happening now, even before that, is going to affect the presidential election. They've even said that. I'm assuming black male voters, especially, are going to turn out for Trump. You're going to probably see it in the 25 percentile. That's my thinking of it. And you know what? I'm not going to don't demonize us for doing this, because maybe if you wouldn't be negligent like you have been, you wouldn't see this shit. So I'll just land my plane right there. And in the words of Molin Martin, beep, 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 that's our fools.
That's funny. Thank you,
But
D. Rich. I want to go to Professor Black, then Chawana. I hope I pronounced your name right. Go ahead, Professor Black. Damn. I'm thinking of the Professor Black on YouTube. Professor Cold name. Yeah, Professor Cold. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's all right, Dana. How you doing, sister and Judge?
Good.
How
How are
y'all
you?
doing? Hey, I'm good. I hope y'all had a great Labor Day weekend. I know for me, I had plenty of barbecue and everything else I could get my hands on. But let me admit something, and Dana, I tell you, you might laugh at me because I'm going to admit, for the first time, I actually agree with Sister Cream Model there on a lot of things that she touched on. Um, just recently here in the space. And so I'm going to say I actually see where she's coming from on a lot of this. And I know y'all probably never thought I would admit that. So let me be the first to say I do see a lot of the things that she's saying to be very true. And I think we have to just kind of look at what they call it, like the man in the mirror, and you look at it and you say, "Oh, okay, yeah, she made some very good points there, valid points." So, with that being said, Roland Martin, as always, has been a detriment to our community. Uncle Luke, a detriment to the community. And what we've seen out there in California is the very same thing. Okay, um, same thing out in California, where you had people that worked against the community. And as you can see, as much as we talk about white supremacy doing harm to us, it seems to be a lot of people that look like us doing harm to us. That's keeping us um, from achieving things that we should already have. It's people like us or look like us that continue to move in ways to keep us from being, how can I say, uh,
From progressing.
well, progressing, but also from being able to be um, uh, as we speak of reparations, no, I can't get my words tonight, y'all. Um, but basically, we should be already in a situation where we have already had reparations. That we should already have. Um, God, I can't get my words tonight. But anyway, basically, y'all, it's not just white supremacy that we have to focus on here. It is people that look like us that are doing a lot of harm to us. And this is what I've been sitting back just looking at as I looked at that whole situation out of California, as I look at these folks like a Roland Martin, people like this Luke, everybody that looks like us they seem to be the main ones that's doing what they can to keep us from getting what is supposed to be due to our ancestors. And this is what I have an issue with. Um, so how long can we really just aim our hostility and anger towards white supremacy as much as we got to be looking at what's going on within the community, such as this whole thing where a lot of our black women pulling for Kamala? See, that's a detriment. What is up with that? Why are so many black women willing to ignore the fact that this woman is cosplaying? She's cosplaying a black woman. She's playing you for a fool. And yet you got people willing to ignore everything that this woman has lied about. And she has even said that she's not trying to do anything specifically for black people, black Americans in particular. So why do we continue to say, well, I'm willing to vote for her anyway? Why is that? And I see a lot of black women mainly doing it. Now, and it's black men too. Now, I'm not trying to throw all the blame on you, ladies. It's black men too, because we see that with this Roland Martin and some of these other ones. But I see a lot of our sisters that really just seem to be supporting this woman, and they know she's a cosplayer, you know. So I'm just gonna land right there. And but yes, those were the things that I wanted to speak on. And so once again, I say yes to Cream Mott. Yes, I can agree with a lot of things that you have said. So I'm gonna land right there.
Appreciate that. I want to go to Chawana. Did I say your name right?
Yeah,
By
can
the
you hear
way, I
me?
couldn't hear
Yes.
a thing that the lady said.
What'd you say, Judge?
I couldn't hear a thing that she said.
Which lady?
The last one that spoke.
Real Queen?
No, I heard Real Queen, but
But
who was that
no,
that just
Professor
spoke?
was just speaking. Did you hear Professor?
I couldn't hear whoever the last person
It was
was.
a
Not
man.
one
It was
single
a man
thing.
speaking. Did you hear a man speak?
And not one single
So
thing.
why you ain't say something? Drop down and come back up because everybody else.
I did.
No, you
I
didn't.
did. I can hear everybody else, but I didn't hear him.
Oh, so why you just ain't say something? It's like, why is it so quiet?
I didn't want to interrupt.
But then,
I
all right,
was
wait
on
1
mute.
second, Judge. Say something, Professor. Say testing.
Texting.
Did you hear that?
Unsure.
All
I
right.
heard something very, very
All right.
faint.
What about Chawana? Say something.
Hello.
You got to speak up.
Hello.
Very faint.
Wait, I can't hear you, Chawana.
Okay, let me turn my volume up. Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay.
Can you hear her?
Very, very faint.
What do you mean very faint?
In other words, I could hear something that sounded very faint in the background.
All
I
right,
couldn't
Chawana,
really
I don't
hear
know
the
what is
words.
going on with your phone because now I'm starting to hear fuzzy stuff. Can you hear me regular?
I hear you fine, loudly and clearly.
G Rich, say something.
Hey, I can hear everybody.
Did you hear that?
I heard that
Judge.
loudly and clearly.
Okay. All right, Chawana.
I hear loudly and clearly.
Chawana, you say something again.
Can you hear me now?
I heard
All
applause.
right. Who was that with the applause? Like, stop. All right. Did you hear Chawana?
I did
That
Need
was
not.
some.
big applause.
Wait. Can I'm sorry. Can everybody just be quiet? Chawana, come off your mic and say hello, Judge.
Hello, Judge.
Did you hear that?
No,
All
I
right.
did not.
Chawana, can you drop down and come back
Sure.
up? Thank you. Let's go to Bill. Bill, you gotta mute your mic.
I did. Thank you. Hey, I'm sorry.
Did you hear that, Judge?
I
I hear
I
him
applaud.
loudly and
I
clear.
did applaud him for that, for hearing, because I did hear it myself. But I just want to say, I grew up midwestern town. My family household was a built railroad train station to um for slavery to Iowa City, Iowa, and we had an underground staircase, everything, right? And when you go to reparations, it just, I have a hard time, and I can understand a lot of feelings there, but there's also my person my feelings as a white person. We also lost a lot as northern people fighting for freedom. You know, we lost family farms, everything. You know, so I don't know if that's ever taken in consideration for that, because our fathers, our brothers, nobody came home to save those family farms. So that's just, I just want to bring that point up in all this, you know. And as far as Kamala goes, I think she's I'm sorry, she's a fake, you know. She wants to put that fake accent out there and everything, and it just disgusts me, you know. People can't be real, you know. I don't know. That's disagree. So thank you for my time.
Appreciate it.
I think the other thing too is she had a liberal dose of Max C45, which is what the industry uses to darken folk up so they look a little more colored. It was totally fake, and it is what it is.
I was a little confused. You saying that your family lineage was part of the Underground Railroad?
Yes, my family farm, Central Owned Farm, we had a hidden staircase with tunnels to for freedom of slaves. To we fed the slaves, I guess, in the attic, and then moved on to Iowa City, Iowa. So
Okay.
yeah,
And what state was this in?
Iowa.
Iowa. And then you said, so what happened with the farms? The government came in and took your farms?
No, I'm just saying that a lot of people from the north that went to fought for freedom of slaves died and never were able to return to their farms, or their menfolk weren't returned to farms. So a lot of farms were lost because of that.
Oh,
Makes
so
sense? You
Let
know,
me
they
let,
they died in the Civil
let me
War,
add.
so they there was nobody to maintain the family farms.
oh, I see
Let
what
me
you're
add
saying.
something to help you out
And they
here.
never
Let
got
me add something to
compensated.
help you out.
Exactly. So
Let me add.
there has to be a fine line in reparations with that. You know.
Let me add something right
Yes, sir.
here, just as a piece of information. People are throwing around the term Civil War, but when we had the one that lasted from 1861 to 1865, the casualty count was approximately twice the casualty count of all of the rest of the wars the United States has ever been in combined. So add
Correct.
World War I, World War II, Korea,
It was
Vietnam,
the
what's going
bloodiest
on
war.
in the Middle East. Yeah, there that still didn't even come up to what happened in the Civil War. You have anywhere between 58 and 82,000 casualties just at Gettysburg alone for 3 days between July 3rd and July 2nd and July 4th, 1863. That's why you have the famous address from Lincoln, the Gettysburg Address, 4 score and 7 years ago, etc. It was a horrible war, and the population of the United States at the time was just 63 million, not 360. And if we had a civil war with the same casualty rate, we would have between 6 and 9.5 million fatalities. So it's not real good.
Correct.
But there were a lot of sacrifices made to save
On
the
both
Union.
sides, yes. Yep.
Okay. I appreciate that. Now that's some very interesting history from your lineage with your family. So I appreciate that, Bill.
You bet.
Let me swing back to Chawana. Chawana, say something. I want to make sure the judge can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Can you hear a judge?
Yes, I hear you now, loudly and
Okay.
Okay.
clearly.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm sorry, Dana. It's pronounced Shawan.
Shawana.
Yeah, but I don't get offended by
So it's
mispronunciation.
like a S, but okay, Shawana, Shawana.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
Shawan. I just wanted to chime in. Thank you for allowing me to speak. It's really nice to meet you. I think this is the first time in your, well, first time speaking in your room. I usually just listening in the background. Um, what I wanted to talk about is, Roland Martin, Uncle Luke. You have Plies. What's his name? Ricky Smiley, D.L. Hughley. All these, I guess I would call them, uh, I guess, extreme supporters of the Democrat Party because they're like leading their followers, or I don't know if you want to call them their followers, but they do garner our audience, and they preach this Democrat whatever nonsense and this extreme support for Kamala Harris. I think is really ridiculous. Instead of really and just with Kamala Harris, just for example, Kamala Harris, even on her last interview, she was so wish-washy and flip-flop on her views. And literally, I thought she was trying to get more, I guess, in the middle of the road, almost Republican talking points. I mean, she flip-flopped on all her issues. She agrees with fracking now. She's a supporter of small businesses, which she never talked about small businesses before, but now she's a supporter of small businesses. All these talking points that she touted during the CNN interview, and I guess the liberal or legacy media kind of, Dana, she didn't really give her pushback. But back to Roland Martin and all these crazy people or crazy men that's supporting Kamala Harris. You think that um, they would do their followers a service by pressing Kamala or even bringing Kamala onto her platform? And I know she's avoiding interviews to answer policy questions instead of saying, "Oh, you niggas are crazy if you think we not supporting Kamala Harris and what's wrong with y'all and all this." They're gaslighting other Black individuals because they're having a free thought of mind, making their own decisions of whether or not they want to vote for Kamala Harris, and having these intellectual conversations where, hey, what are the policies? Not only for Black folks, what are the policies, period? And why are you flip-flopping on your policies? And it's very troubling to see that Black individuals are doing it to our own Black individuals. um just like I guess the professor that was just speaking, he mentioned that we do. It's not the white supremacy or the white man that's keeping us down. We've been voting Democrat for the last 60, 70 years, and our people have nothing to show for it. And we've been loyal to them. We're not any more educated. We got a bunch of baby mamas. We have we have no more wealth than we did in the 60s. Um, our kids can't read past the fourth grade in all these democratic cities. So we really have nothing to show for us being loyal to the Democrat Party. So why are we voting Democrat? I don't think we have any reasons to vote Democrat. I would think that we need to look at and step outside of, oh, this party is racist or this party is for the people. Step out and look in an overarching view and look at the past, the present, and the future. What are the policies that whatever party or whatever politician is putting forth, and how does that affect yourself, your family, and your people in a positive way? Let alone it doesn't matter if it says, oh, this is specifically for Black folks. No, what should matter is it beneficial for the American people? Is it beneficial for my family? And I truly wish Black folks would start doing that. Don't look at the party. Look at what policies are they planning to put forth. What is their track record? We know Kamala Harris has a bad track record, not only with Black folks, but she's just not a she's not a good person. She's an evil person, and she's wishy washy. And I'm gonna land my plane right here. That CNN interview that she had over the past weekend, I really truly believe that Kamala Harris don't even believe herself what she's touting. She does not have the conviction. Now, people could talk about Donald Trump and say, oh, he's a bad person. He's the orange man. Orange man is bad. But one thing you can say, Donald Trump, he follows through. He does not waver on anything. If he's saying that he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And if he said he's for supporting a particular policy or agenda, that's what he's supporting on. And he has the same tune throughout. And he's been the same person throughout since we've been introduced to him as a politician. I mean, we all knew him before, but as since he's been a politician, he's been touting that same, running with the same talking point. And I think he has extreme conviction. On the other hand, with Kamala, like I said, I don't even think Kamala believes in what she is talking about. I think she's a scam and she's a fake. Okay, and I land my plane there. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Shawana. I got it right? Shawana.
Well said.
No,
Well
just
said.
Shawan.
Shawan.
Yeah.
What I put? Okay, you know what? And I even put it. I put Shawani, but it's Shawan. Okay, because I put an E at the end. Shawan. All right. Sorry.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, so I want to get to is Big J. Yeah, Big J. Then in what? Endile? I always say it mess up your name, but go ahead, Big J.
Hey, Dana, thank you for allowing me to come on the platform. And I wanted to ask Judge Joe a question. With the September 18th coming up with Trump and the situation that he's facing as far as jail time, I just wanted to ask him. I know I've enjoyed his commentary so much on his legal mindset. What does he think's going to happen with that? And if the judge does send Trump to jail, what would he think would, as far as the appeals process, and what kind of time do you think time frame he would be looking at as far as how long would he be in jail? Do you think there'd be an appeal? He'd get out quickly, or could he possibly be in jail until the election?
As a candidate for president of the United States and having a status protected rather vigorously by the Constitution and other things, I think he might spend 5 minutes in a room before a writ of habeas corpus was delivered upon all parties, and somebody on a federal appellate court, or if not, the U.S. Supreme Court directly, since it is a matter of the state of New York versus somebody who is a qualified national candidate for a national office, it would go directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. I think they would quickly intervene. It's going nowhere. That trial was so much in violation of due process of law and the Bill of Rights that it is a great illustration of the evils of lawfare that the Bill of Rights was intended to prevent from ever occurring. They know the prosecution, Bragg et al., they know that's not going to stick, but as part of the cabal that is attempting to implement a leftist form of fascism on the country. They don't care. They just know that it's likely to take up a lot of time. But it's very bad when that happens because that's so much an anathema to our way of governance. Now, anybody involved, the way I look at it, would be arguably subject to prosecution for malicious prosecution or disbarment, ethical reprimand, a number of other things, or prosecution criminally for attempting to interfere with an election. See, it's a conspiracy in one sense. And the interesting thing about conspiracy is this: you can criminally conspire to do a legal act in a legal fashion if your intent is to conspire with others to achieve an illegal or inappropriate result. So, in other words, if they're trying to interfere with the election and they conspire with others to do that, even if they use a legal method to do so, that is still a criminal offense. And I think they should all be prosecuted. If that's it.
Thank you, Judge. I was just I'd heard a lot and seen a lot of different things as far as preparing Alcatraz for Trump, and then I've seen videos of the National Guard going to the hotels in New York saying that they're there to make sure that so the police don't want to arrest Trump or so forth. But I really appreciate you just being able to put some clarity on it. So thank you, Judge.
That's not going to last. The judge never should have kept himself on the case. One, the thing of it is you cannot be charged with paying criminal hush money unless there is a crime that someone's attempting to hush. If there's no crime to be hushed and somebody pays hush money, that person has been blackmailed, and the person that received the money would be arguably chargeable with felony blackmail. What looks to have happened is Stormy Daniels was threatened with prosecution for blackmailing Trump for getting the payoff for remaining quiet. It was not coerced. She was not under the influence of drugs nor alcohol, according to her testimony. And if he paid out the money to avoid public embarrassment, that's called blackmail. So he's not only not guilty, he's the victim. And what winds up happening is the judge refused, after repeated requests in writing and proposed charges submitted, to instruct the jury that they must first find beyond a reasonable doubt that there was, in fact, a crime that had been committed, that hush money was being paid to silence. There was none such. that would fail on the conviction. And the other thing is under American law, the judge must charge the jury with the correct law because the jury is, in fact, the judge of the facts and the law under the direction of the court. But the court is the proper source for the law. And if the court gives the wrong law to the jury, then that conviction cannot stand. It's effectively null and void. So that's what we have here. Now, pass the mic.
Was that it, Big J?
Yes, Dana, thank you so much for letting me ask that question. I hadn't heard anyone speak on it, and I really wanted to just ask the judge because I knew I really appreciate his legal mind and his opinions on things. So thank you so much for allowing me to ask that question to
Yeah,
him.
real quick question. The sentencing is supposed to be next week?
The 18th.
The 18th, the 18th, the 18th. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, because I keep hearing little rumbles about it, but I don't think a lot of people are too concerned with it. Not this late in the game. And I think if
It's a joke.
yeah, and
Excuse my
I
interruption.
think if something goes against his favor, that's because they're trying to rig this election.
Yeah, like I said, because of what's going on, it's the state of New York effectively because Donald Trump is the presidential candidate in a national election. It becomes a matter of a state versus the United States government. The issue goes directly to the U.S. Supreme Court, and everybody from Gorsuch all the way to Clarence Thomas is there to approach about issuing a writ for habeas corpus. Any judge with similar or superior jurisdiction, any one judge can issue a writ of habeas corpus from a local judge of similar jurisdiction all the way up to a federal judge. And that's what's going to happen.
All right, I want to go to next is Indy. I know I'm saying it wrong. Then we have Diva, then Fawatala. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Then Derek. Go ahead. I always say Indy.
You always say Indy, but it is
Indy.
Indy left.
What is it, Indy?
Yes, Indy left.
Okay.
But yeah, how y'all doing? Thanks for letting me up. Judge, I had used your barbecue sauce this weekend at my Labor Day cookout, and it was a big hit. Everybody loved it. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
I just want to say that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I need you to follow me back, man, because I was trying to message you about my grandfather that was a Red Ball Express, but I couldn't message you. So I think you got to follow me back for me to be able to message you to send you the information.
I'm looking for you now on the screen. Where are you? Let's see. Where you at?
He's talking.
I'm right here beside
I know,
you.
but I'm just trying to find him so I can follow him back.
It's INDYLE. His profile picture.
Oh, I see you. I see you now. Okay. All right, you can send me that. Yeah, my old man was Master Sergeant in that fracas. So yeah, okay, I just followed you back.
All right, man. Appreciate it. I just want to say, you know, just having conversations. I don't say locally, but just with people, Facebook here and there, like church, different things. Like a lot of people are kind of what Judge speaks about all the time. They just stuck on the plantation. Like it ain't no getting them off the plantation until something like what's going on in Chicago happens and illegals start flooding your neighborhood and stuff, or jobs start becoming, job sites start becoming taken over by illegals. So something like that is gonna have to happen to get a lot of these people off the plantation. I just stopped arguing with them because it's draining, at this point, and a lot of people are just gonna do what they're gonna do because they are afraid of Trump, and They listen too much to CNN and MSNBC, so they get fear mongered to death. And then some of them are genuinely afraid of his supporters and that element of white nationalism that is real. Um, and like I said, I want to agree with Judge's take on what's going to happen with the trial, and I'm just amazed at how much knowledge the judge has about what these judges should have done legally, and just looking at them like, did they know this, or is it like, to me it seemed like it was already written that this is what they were going to do to try to block Trump, or just roadblock him from his momentum of campaigning. So it just it's gonna happen, or however it's gonna happen. I just know that we do have a lot of black celebrities, saying things and trying to shame people. That's true, but I mean, it's just clear that they're being paid to say these things and move a certain way. I just listen to them here and there, just in the afterthought. It doesn't even bother me. Because at this point, people gonna say what they want to say. They're gonna do what they want to do. So I'm gonna just keep it short tonight, and I'm gonna land there. And I just want to thank Judge again for, giving his expertise on these legal matters. Because it's gonna come down to a lot of lawsuits and a lot of, you know, counter paperwork having to be filed for this or for that, and whatever legal precedent there is. I enjoy hearing and learning about it. Not being that I haven't been to law school, so I learn a lot listening to the judge. That's all I want to say. I'm laying my plane there. Thank you for giving me a little bit of time.
Thank you.
It was Sergeant First Class, by the way, not First Sergeant. All right, Sergeant First Class. And yeah, all of the above. One of the most tragic things is it's been more than a half century ago. I was an intern with a DC think tank, and we looked over the slave pamphlets to determine causality as to how slavery became so insidious. And one of the principles that was said over and over again in these instructions from one slave owner to another was to interject elements of slavery into the Negroes' culture so the Negroes would teach themselves how to be slaves. And it's interesting that so many Negroes, I don't call them black people, think that people who do not fall into the trap of behaving as a deliberate cultural artifact has been introduced into their upbringing to make them slaves. When free black folk don't think that way, they want to be called coons. And not want to be, but are called coons. When actually the ones that are calling that are the ones that are showing the slave mentality. It's really tragic. And Roland Martin is one of those. I call him the Pillsbury Doughboy with chocolate chips.
Yeah. And he's one of your frat brothers.
That makes nothing to do with anything. All of the four black frats, not this fifth Johnny come lately thing that they have out there, and the four black sororities were set up more than 100 years ago to fight apartheid. Part of the whole thing was that they were intentionally masquerading as Black Greek party organizations. They were not, but that was supposed to be the camouflage. The pledging was hard so that you could weed out those who would fail to torture if they received it from Sheriff Billy Bob and tell on everybody. So it was four frats, four sororities to divide everything up into cells so you couldn't get everybody if you got somebody.
Okay. All right.
Now it's turned to just boule party nonsense now.
Yeah.
And they completely missed the point. So there's no telling.
All right, let me go to Diva.
Hey, Dana. Thank you for the space, sis.
Hi.
Hey, Your Honor, thank you for your contributions and your service to our community. Loved you so much.
Well, thank you for
Thank
that.
you so much, Your
Thank
Honor. I
you for that.
appreciate your service. My first question is I've seen Senator Rankins on the internet saying that they are going to use Amendment 14, Section 3 to disqualify Trump even if he wins, and that we should prepare for civil war type conditions because they will not certify his election, even if the Supreme Court. If he said if the Supreme Court doesn't do their job and charge him, with the in Amendment 14, Section 3, which is basically the insurrection, I guess, that then the Congress would step in to ensure that they don't certify the election. That's my first question, Your Honor. My second question is I saw Reese Colbert, who is like a political lapdog to Vice President Imhoff, and basically she was saying that the Supreme Court has made it that the country cannot allow race specific reparations to any particular race. But I saw Vice President Imhoff tell the National Action Network that if a reparations bill was to come to her desk, that she would sign it. And also, this recent Chavez Ravine Accountability Act is kind of listed as a reparative for Latinos who were displaced in California. So while our reparations was shelved, those people who were displaced during the 40s through the 60s through the Chavez Ravine Accountability Act, they will be funded. Can you tell me is what is legal?
One second before you answer that, Judge, just real quick. That Kamala Harris at the National Network Action Network, that was actually in 2019 when she was running for president. So that is an old clip that's recirculating, just in case if people are wondering or didn't know that. She didn't say that recently. Um, so that's just a little FYI. But go ahead, Judge.
Well, it's like this. First off, it's not up to any bloody state. The federal courts have already ruled on that. It's a federal matter, not a matter not a matter subject to state determination as to whether or not there was an insurrection. Nobody's been charged with that. Insurrection is a criminal act, and what they're doing is really disingenuous. See, they keep saying insurrection on January 6th, 2021. The reason they keep using that specific language is insidious because it's acclimating the public to it. You see, the fundamental right that is used to enforce the application of the Constitution to all criminal proceedings is the writ of habeas corpus. What the use of that specific term, insurrection, is about is the Constitution accepts two instances where the writ of habeas corpus no longer is available, and that's for invasion one and insurrection two. They're trying to use that term, even though it has absolutely no application to the instant situation, to acclimate the public to the frequent use of insurrection relative to 1-6. So if they get in place to try and abrogate the constitutional protections and those extended through the Bill of Rights, then nobody will get upset, they hope. But that's why I'm speaking out about it, because you should get upset because it's a mess. And the 14th Amendment, where he talks about insurrection, is talking about the consequence of the Civil War, which is technically an insurrection. That's the kind of thing they're talking about, not a disturbance of the peace and misdemeanor criminal trespass that occurred with approximately 180 people on January 6th. And the actions that were taken by that group, the U.S. Supreme Court has long held, cannot be imputed to any one other person unless there was a specific intent to achieve the result. And under the circumstances, that's impossible. So it's not going to lie other than that there is a big lie being told. And when I say lie, I mean it's not going to follow, except for the fact that it's a big lie being told by the press, which is the propaganda arm of what essentially is being pushed by the Democratic Party, which is actually the rainbow cult that is trying to negate all ordinary human character traits in favor of no guilt, no shame. Anything you want for any purpose of decadence is okay. That's not the way humans operate. Now, I passed Mike.
Um, oh, go ahead, Diva. I didn't know if he answered everything.
I thank you for addressing the Amendment 14, Section 3, because I'm like, they're setting us up for something. But in regard to the Chavez Ravine Accountability Act, basically, this is Latinos who were displaced in California because they wanted to build a stadium. And so, to help them kind of upshore their communities, they funded the bill. That's the whole thing in California. That they pushed the Black reparations bill back, but they funded this Chavez Accountability Act. And what I'm saying is the political lapdog who made all these excuses and said everybody's lying about this lady's record was saying that the Supreme Court ruled that basically there can be no race based compensation from the government. And I'm just worried about our community being told that as if we don't have, and yet we're seeing Latinos. I heard the Caucasian man earlier say how hurt his feelings would be about us receiving reparations, but they are not hurt about these billions of dollars going to these migrants who eventually go back home. I mean, it's like, and then one more thing in Alabama, they're showing right now where the people in Alabama are being forced into slave labor at McDonald's and Wendy's. So instead of serving their sentences in jail, they have to go and work at McDonald's or Wendy's. And the prison system take 40% of their income off of them. And if they reject it or they refuse, then they're thrown into solitary confinement, etc. Is there no legal basis for Black people in America to kind of get this system off of us and receive some sort of compensation? And I just, again, I love you so much. Thank
Let me
you.
ask you a
Mhm.
question. Let me ask you a question. Where did you hear this from?
It's on the YouTube right now. It came out earlier today.
That doesn't make it correct. That's not even what's going on. The criminal justice system is not trying to get free labor out of its convicts. It's trying to eliminate surplus labor. See, labor is a commodity, and the criminal justice system is working very well at what it does. It's not trying to control crime. It's simply this, that there is a surplus of people who need to be employed. And modern industrial technology and computerization has made them obsolete. And our system, unlike every other industrial nation, has no programs in place to catch the obsoleted worker up to what he needs to be viable in today's working place. So laborers are commodities. And when you have a glut in any commodity, whether it is corn, cotton, beef, poultry, or whatever, or people in the labor market, you do three things: store the surplus, subsidize the producer, cut back production. Our surplus labor is stored in a penitentiary or a jail cell. The subsidy is the welfare check or various forms of assistance. And the cutting back of production is getting stuck on stupid, dropping out, banging out, drugging out too early, getting knocked up too often, developing inappropriate attitudes, or not having a vocational skill and being academically deficient. That's cutting back of production. That's got a lot to do with what you see on social media and entertainment venues that glorifies dysfunction and causes the wrong kind of worldview. So these individuals are not productive in a labor sense. And what you have is, in fact, a storage or a warehousing of surplus labor units, which are commodities. Humans can be a commodity under certain circumstances. Now, You put people to work when they're locked up because the phrase is idle minds mischief make. In other words, you put them to work so they're not idle and they don't get up to more mischief or cause more trouble than otherwise is the case. So I'm not sure where that came from on Facebook. I mean, I'm permanently banned on Facebook. I've never posted, but they don't like what I post on X. So they banned me. That's an example of fascism at work where your free speech is curtailed, not because it's obscene, pornographic, not because it's libelous or defaming of character, but because it is not matching the official version of reality, and nor should be no official version of anything other than as just an example of speech that's freely out there. It should have no more effect than anything else, and we work on unlimited exchange of ideas that result ultimately in a consensus amongst the public. It may take long, the consensus may initially be wrong, but you correct it in the interchange and set to with ideas, not the way they're doing it now. That looks like Nazi Germany. But that on Facebook is, I thought that's what you were talking about. That's not correct.
I don't know which. Oh, she must have dropped down. Okay. All right. Let me
Okay.
go to Fawatala. Did I say your name right?
Mm-hmm. No, not really. No,
Or how do you pronounce it?
Fatula.
Fatula.
Yeah, I want to know what did y'all mean when y'all were talking about Kamala puts colors on people? What were y'all talking about?
We're talking about Max C-45. If you look at the pictures of her in Detroit versus what was it, Philadelphia or was it Pittsburgh, you will see that she didn't put the Max C-45 on, which is a kind of makeup you ladies know about. I have beauticians in the family, and they told me about it. I know about it from Hollywood too. They make you look darker than you are. And when you saw her in Detroit, she tried to speak black, and in Philadelphia, white. So when she was in Illinois and
What's
Chicago,
speaking black
she
and
was
what is
trying to
speaking
speak
white? What is speaking black and what
Southern.
is speaking white? What does that mean?
Jesus Christ, Margot, what the hell's going on with this
Hmm?
here? What do you think I just tried to do? Man, look here, man. It ain't no deal like that, man. We ain't going that way.
White people talk like that.
Jesus Christ, Margot. Yeah, that's what she was doing. The same thing.
It's white people in the
You
ghetto. They
know,
talk like that.
no, I'm talking about she's doing it. She's imitating it. So one person has a natural way of talking. I do, but I can imitate that. God damn, Charlie, I saw Elvis the other day. Now, what am I talking about? If I do that, that's not the way I ordinarily talk. Or I can say, hey, man, like, Stomp, man, what's going on with Short Dog?
Mm-hmm.
You see, in other words, that ties in with, I used to wash my greens in the bathtub. Your
When did
mama
she
would beat
imitate?
the
When did
crap
she
out of you
imitate?
if you, what, that?
Kamala.
She's trying to be
Kamala, when did she
she's
imitate?
lying. She's trying, well, I'm saying
Now?
she did that when yeah, she just got through doing it when she was in Detroit.
Mm.
And she got through doing it the day later or a few hours later when she was in Philly.
But what she
And
really
she
sounds
did it
like
the
then?
week before. Yeah, was she one place she tried to sound white, and the other place she tried to sound black. Black. It's just what she does. Like
Mm.
she tries to fake being black when she's actually an Aryan. She's an Indo-Aryan,
What?
which
No,
is
she's not.
she's an Aryan, just the same one the Nazis were talking about. But the Nazis lied. They said they're blonde-haired, blue-eyed. And you have the Aryan Brotherhood, uh, the Aryan Nation, the Nazis thinking that Aryans are blonde-haired, blue-eyed. They're actually swarthy, dark-haired, dark-eyed, and they look like Kamala. And if you look at
Her
Indians, a
name is
lot of them
Kamala.
are
Why y'all keep
darker
saying
than,
Kamala? Why y'all keep
because
saying that?
it's an Indian name. It's not black. She picked the common Indian name.
Because she has an Indian mother.
Of course she does that, and she's got an Indian and Irish
Her
daddy.
dad is Jamaican.
I know blonde haired, blue haired, eyed Jamaican. I got to Jamaica a lot. I even know one woman who's blonde haired, blue eyed. She's a member of the English aristocracy, but she is married to a black man I'm acquainted with, and she was born in Jamaica. So were
Jamaica
her
is a
one.
nationality, not a
They
race.
can Jamaican
It's
is
not a.
black. That's a black man.
No, it's
No, it
not.
ain't. No, it
Yes, it
ain't.
is.
You go to look here. No, it ain't. How many times you been to Jamaica?
Go to Jamaica. You'll see.
I have
Hmm.
about 30
You
times.
see,
How
you
many
see, you
times you
seen
been?
it then. You seen it then.
No, they ain't. Everybody ain't black. You go to St. Elizabeth
Hmm.
Parish. That's where they be hyperdized in wagon.
Hmm.
And you see somebody talking. Here's somebody talking with patois, and you turn around, they're Chinese because they're from Hong Kong or Singapore. And that's part of the British Empire, part of the English Commonwealth. You don't need a passport to pass within the English Commonwealth. So you have people from Australia, Singapore,
From
Hong
China.
Kong,
I'm talking about
China.
Jamaicans. I'm not talking about
I'm
China
talking
people. I'm
about
not talking about
Jamaica.
that.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
saying they live in Jamaica. They're born in Jamaica. You've got people from uh, New Zealand, Australia, and you have white folk that talk with patois because they were born there. You have people from Pakistan, from India, from South Africa, Kenya. They all live up in Jamaica. They're part of the Commonwealth. And see what happens is her birth certificate has an error on it. I know about that birth certificate because my wife was ex-wife was born in the same hospital in the exact same year, and my late mother-in-law was a pediatrics nurse in the hospital the same time that both of them were born. Now, I got a passport application for my ex way back when, and I had to get a duplicate birth certificate for her, ordered one. It says on that birth certificate for Kamala, it says
Kamala.
nationality of mother, Indian. It says race of mother, Caucasian. When it says for father, it says nationality of father. It's a blank. When it says race, it says Jamaican. That was a mistake. It was a duplicate and it's a mistaken one. And that's a error. And Jamaican is a nationality, not a race. Because if you go to Jamaica, like I said, check out the St. Elizabeth Parish. It's on the east side of Jamaica, and you will find all kinds of folk there,
Because it's black.
high, bright, and white. And they are born in
When
Jamaica.
you're Jamaican, you black.
No, you're not.
Hmm?
How many times have you been to Jamaica?
My
You,
parents went.
your parents went.
Yes.
I'm talking about you. How many times have you been to
I didn't
Jamaica?
go. My parents went.
Well, over the last 40 some years, I've been a whole bunch of times. I get called a Jamaican. I've been guest of the Jamaican government so many times I don't even remember.
Hmm.
Sat at the table with the Governor General of Jamaica, who, by the way, taught college in Detroit, Michigan, along with his wife. He was a PhD, the last one I was a guest of. I've been guest of several Jamaican prime ministers. Love to go there. And they have white Jamaicans. They have Hindu Jamaicans.
Anything else you want to add?
All
Why
over the place.
why
Yeah,
y'all like Trump so much?
because he's a man. He's no sissy boy. And that's why they hate him. They're trying to emasculate the damn country. Kamala is a fake. She's been a failure. She screwed her way to the
Yeah.
top. Now she's at the top and she can't screw anymore because she's a 60-year-old woman and nobody's interested. So what's she gonna do? Seduce
Well,
Putin?
how old is Trump?
He's got better
How
stuff
old is
than
Trump?
that in his own
How
household.
old is Trump?
Go Xi Jinping, he doesn't want any. Go to
How
one
old
of
is
the
Trump?
Arab sheikhs
How
that
old is
runs
Trump?
the Middle East. They don't need it because they have it in their harem. No, but
Okay,
Trump
okay. How
needs
old
to
is
make the
Trump?
deal. He needs to make the deal.
How old is Trump?
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
78.
He's an old white man, and women are
So
very
what?
smart.
He's a man.
Women are
I don't
very
care. So is
smart.
Kamala.
Women are very
Kamala
smart.
is a
Women
white
are very
woman.
smart, and
Kamala
I
is
don't
a
know
Caucasian woman.
what you're talking
And
about.
by the way, her own father
Mm-hmm.
called her a liar and a fraud for one,
Mm-hmm.
trying to deal with race
Mm.
politics, race identity
Where'd you hear
politics,
that?
and two, because she tried to imply that all of the Jamaicans are dope smoking
Where'd you
fiends.
hear
He wrote the article. I
that?
read it. I met him.
You met him.
I sat at the dinner table with him for 2.5
You
hours.
met him. Mm.
It was a thing that the governor general gave. My ex-wife and I was sitting up there. She was talking to him for 2.5 hours.
All right, do you have another question? For
I
what?
ain't got no
I'm
because
sorry
y'all
for
some
busting
stupid
your
ass
bubble.
people. Bye.
Oh, you
We're dumb,
go
but
on,
you
Winch.
don't
Go
you
back
don't
to
know
your
that Jamaica is a
plantation, Winch.
nationality.
Winch, go back to your plantation and enjoy your slavery. You are a classic victim of what slave owners used to do. They'd put this stuff in black folks' culture so they'd make slaves of themselves. Now you have such low self-esteem that you would seize on anything to make it something that gave you some pride and respect. Get it on your own. You do not need a fake.
All right. I want to go to Derek, then Stacks, then Damon, then Michael, then El Hotep. Go ahead, Derek.
Well, good evening. I've sit here and I've listened, and I actually was definitely a fan of Judge, and but I mean, I wouldn't have actually approached it the same way that the other young lady who just got off the phone did. But I live here in Georgia, and you say that Trump is a man. I mean, well, yeah, he is a man, but Trump lies too, and he lies a lot. And when he called here and wanted to talk to our about finding him votes and things such as that, and that the election was a fraud, and that somebody scammed him out of his rightful call to be the president again, I didn't agree with that because they actually recounted those ballots more than at least 3 times, and it still came out with the same number. But yet he still says that it was stolen and someone lied and someone cheated him out of being able to be the president again. I mean, I don't think that the way that our constitution and the way that we set up our government was meant for us to have any type of dictatorship. That's something that I do not want. I don't want one man feeling like he can call all the shots. Now, I'm not saying that Kamala is the best person for the position. I probably wouldn't have had chosen her, but I sure wouldn't have chosen Trump either. And I mean, and when you have what is your choice when you don't have that much to choose from that's in the power to be?
You
So
gotta
you
go ahead. I'm
go
listening
ahead.
to you. Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah. So I mean, so my thing is, I mean, I've listened to all of this. I mean, I don't think that I'm on a plantation or have a slave mentality. And I feel like every man should get out here and work and make a living and work for himself and build his family up. That's what I've done with my family as I raised my children. And I've wanted them to all be involved in the voting um, process, because I feel like if you don't vote, you really didn't put in any type of voice or say anything. So how are you going to have a discussion and say what should be if you didn't even have a part in trying to make it whatever it should be? And so but I don't think that we should go into a situation where we're being led by one man. Now you say Trump is a man to the point. I've seen him lie numerous times about different things. He's changed his opinion on different things just like Kamala has.
Oh, well, let
So
me ask you something. Let me ask you a quick
go
question.
right ahead. Go right ahead.
All right, you remember Kamala talking about she inhaled and she was in the dorm room smoking dope while listening to Tupac?
Right. Yes, and I believe she probably did. I went to HBCU too, and that
No, no,
did
no,
probably
no, no,
happen.
no, 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 no. When she was in the dorms, Tupac was 11 years old. He released his first uh, release when he was 21. The first
Okay.
one that made the charts was 23. At that time, Kamala
Correct.
Harris was an assistant prosecutor in Alameda County, California. So was she in the dorm room as a prosecutor? Was she smoking dope as a prosecutor when her assignment was to prosecute misdemeanor drug cases? Was she
Okay.
smoking dope then? She was lying. Do you believe her when she said she washed her greens in the bathtub in the dormitory? Now,
That
do
that
you want to
that that
believe
probably
the
that probably was
rest of
pretty
it?
far fetched
Oh,
as
well, how
well.
about this one? I mean, I don't hold anything against the Jewish faith, but she was catching hell until she married a rich, white, Jewish Hollywood attorney who used his influence to turn media in her favor. That was 2014. She belongs to Hillcrest Country Club, which has a long, horrible, sordid record in Los Angeles, California of discrimination against black folks.
Okay.
Employees, because there are no members last I checked. So I mean, how about that? Or
Well,
I
okay.
know what, well, let me tell you what
Go
I
ahead.
know
Go ahead.
about.
Oh,
Let me
go
tell
ahead.
you what
I'm
I know
sorry. Go
about.
ahead.
For example, in Richmond, there was a very prosperous liquor store there that a black man had set up. Great liquor store. Matter of fact, my in-laws used to like up through there getting wine, but it was held up a lot. So instead of going after the criminals, what she did is filed a civil action to close down the black man's liquor store. We just got through, Dana and I, interviewing a Ms. Peoples. Ms. Peoples was a decent, well employed woman who had her own home. She had a daughter who was suffering from sickle cell, 9 years old, who went through crisis after crisis, writhing in pain and screaming the pain so bad, had medical records up the kazoo, taking her to the hospital on a regular basis. Well, she had a little dispute with the local Board of Education who wanted to bring the screaming child to school so the principal could see. Kamala had done what she did about arresting adults who had truant children. This girl had 30 some absences, but they were all medically excused. She was actually in a hospital on the occasions. So Kamala set up the press to be waiting outside her home. The woman was advised that somebody would come there to clear things up and help her, but she was perp walked to the car, thrown in the vehicle, put to trial. The child was drug in and out of the hospital, had a stroke at 13, couldn't speak for several years, and is still paralyzed on the right side at 22 years old. That's what that witch did. Now, next thing, a brother got $13.1 million dollars from the city of San Francisco in a settlement because he was kept in jail for almost 8 years by Kamala's refusal to release exculpatory evidence until the California Supreme Court ordered her to do so. And the man was released over and over and over this kind of exploitation. She got a job when she was 30 years old, 29 years old, thanks to Willie Brown, working with a medical commission where everybody else on there was over 65 years old with a long track record in the medical industry. She had none. She was getting $72,000 a year nominally for 15 hours a week, but just entailed showing up 1 hour a month to get 72,000. Then it got up to 120,000 for 2 appearances a month, which was reported on over and over. And I was in California at the time and recall it. She never showed up. So that was used to finance her early political career. She screwed her way into position with the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. She later got all kinds of money, worked her way thanks to Willie Brown setting it up so she could get elected as DA for San Francisco. She was hooked up with Soros and Mnuchin with One West Bank. It was indicted 5,200 times, excuse me, counts of indictment. Every county in California indicted them. And she got $17 million from Soros, who owned the bank, and they got her elected state attorney general. She consolidated 5,200 plus counts of an indictment and dismissed them. Soros sold the bank for $3.82 billion a few weeks later. Then they turned around and raised millions of dollars for her to be U.S. attorney. And it goes on and on. She's a crook, and she slept her way to the top.
And Trump is not a crook, Judge.
At Howard
What about what he
University.
did with the Central Park Five,
You
and
punk
how he
ass
wanted to prosecute
Negroes
those boys?
confessed. It was a horrible.
But they
crime.
confessed after being
They
confessed
didn't
after being
that
held
is a
in
lie.
a
That is
cell
not a
in a
lie.
room.
That is a lie. What happened is this.
He
One
got
of
up there
the
and said he
boys
wanted those people to be
listen, you
prosecuted.
want to know the facts of it or the bullshit they put in mainstream media? The facts are that one of the boys told his father he did it. The boy's father drug his ass down there to the police, and with his daddy sitting in the room, he confessed. He implicated the rest of them. They had been harassing people in the park for that whole week, and all of them confessed. It was no coerced in confession. One of them's daddy brought him down. And when they confessed, it may or may not have been the truth, but they punked out and they confessed. So we have a little problem here. For the last 50 years, 97+% of the people in American penitentiaries pled guilty. Just a little more than 2% got found guilty by a jury. 84 to 87% of them confessed. And when you look at the confessions, it doesn't match up the tales that they got coerced. They're blubbering and crying for their mama, and snot's coming all out their nose because they punked out. And when you get into it, they upheld it. They implicated it and pointed everybody that was in it with them out. That's what they do. If you had balls, hell, you just sit up like you don't watch this on TV. You got a right to remain silent, and you're looking at a confession on tape, and the police are saying, son, you need to talk to a lawyer first. I want my mama. I tell you anything, well, you let me talk to my mama. And Mr. OG in there trying to go for bad, and he crying for his mama. And that's what happened with this case. But it was inconvenient for the media to let this go.
Can you hear me?
You have. Now
I can hear you.
Judge, can you hear me?
Now, I hear
Okay.
you. Yeah. Now, that's what the problem is. It's media hype. And the reality is, of course, it was horrible. That woman got brutalized. It was ridiculous. But what goes on is at the point when Trump takes that ad out in the newspaper, nobody knew a damn thing about the fact that this was not a correct confession. And then if you want to talk about something, then go point your finger at the white feminist Democratic Party member who was the elected district attorney who went after those boys.
I know. I remember. Yeah.
Now, that's what the problem is. All these he wasn't working for the police department. He just knows what's reported. Same thing you're relying on. At the time, they were showing this as a horrible crime.
Yeah, it was.
So I mean,
but we know that happens a lot. We know that happens a lot. That
so you come
black
out
young men will get railroaded at times.
Yeah, I know, but at the point, nobody had an intimation. One boy's daddy brought him down and said he's got something to tell you. See, they leave that part out now.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Now, I'm just saying, it looks horrible, but it's not like he went out and said these innocent folk need to. No, at the point they confessed, they voluntarily came down to the police station. And somebody said it's a horrible crime. Yeah,
So you agree with his opinion as far as blocking blacks from living in his building and
he didn't
in his
block any
property?
blacks. They just didn't have any credit rating. And actually, he actually took steps to help them get in there if they had the correct credit rating.
Yeah, but we know why those credit ratings. We see
No,
that all
it
the
ain't got
time.
nothing to do with money. Uh-uh. I
We
know
see
that
that all
rent
the time. I
game.
mean,
I
I
no
remember.
no 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 no. See, it's like this, sir. You make your money off your rental properties. You can't
Okay,
afford to have a scofflaw tenant in there because you'll be needing to find some place to stay if you have tenants like that.
right,
See, I had look. Let me tell you a story. I had three clients back in the '80s. They could not get finance. They were trying. They're businessmen. I talked to them. I've been a judge since 35 years ago. All right, state judge.
right.
So I run into him. Man, did you ever get the loan? Yeah, I got it. Where did you? Tell me about it. Got it from Donald Trump. Damn, tell me about this. And they all told me the same story, but as far as I know, they don't know each other. And what the story was is when they gave Trump the check to pay it off, he tore the contract up, tore the check up, and said it's on me.
All right.
And they're black.
All right. I need to move on to other speakers. And I want
Thank you,
thank
Dana.
you so much.
Thank you for
Appreciate
letting me
Well,
you.
speak.
thank you. I understand what your position is, but this bunch of bamboozling folk running game on everybody. See, they've got an agenda. This isn't politics. This is something else. This is like a new religion. It's like Buddhism because there's no God to it, but it's the rainbow cult. It is something where they're putting this rainbow symbol in every school, every courthouse, every city hall, in the federal buildings, all over the place. They teach it to the school children. They're trying to push this. That's why it looks so damn crazy now. It's not politics as usual.
I want to ask Real Queen, Indy, and Big J. Can you drop down a listener because I need to bring some people up that's sitting in queue. And the people that's up here now they haven't spoken yet. So can you three just drop down a listener so I could bring some people up? Appreciate it. And the next person is Stacks, and then we have Damon, Michael, El Hotep. So go ahead, Stacks.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
How are you?
I'm doing okay. What's up, Dana?
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Other than I got in a car accident when I was driving through Atlanta, but that's a different story. Um, I was about to say I wanted to get the judge's point of view of Robert F. Kennedy joining the campaign and how he might help change things or where he might think things should go by from here.
Oh, Kennedy. Uh, Kennedy got the correct idea from talking to people that were involved in his campaign that he wasn't going to help anything and would defeat his own purposes by staying in the race. So he pulled out, although he's still on the ballot in a few states, he can't withdraw. And he's supporting Trump because Trump is about family, he's about traditional human values, and he's not into this emasculation thing that is being pushed by the other side. So that's just it's a case of hard times breed strong men make good times breed weak men cause hard times. And we're on that cycle where we've had weak men in office, and now it's time for a bit of hardness before we go the way of Great Britain 100 years ago. And the national language is Mandarin Chinese, not English anymore. And the international currency is something that BRICS set up, not the U.S. See, we're losing out. we are dropping behind rapidly and we're coasting. It's time to put the pedal to the metal and zoom ahead again. But we're not doing it right now.
How do you feel about Trump saying he's going to release everything about the assassination attempt on JFK and the Epstein's list?
No, that's good. In fact, from what I've seen from actually reading the downloads on the three Hunter Biden laptops, three, not one, what's going on now with Mar-a-Lago is those documents are very incriminating against Biden, Obama, and a few other people. And he properly refused to turn them over to the archivist because that act is unconstitutional. And the case that covers it is Marbury versus Madison, decided unanimously by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1803. Further, there's a case that would be determinative of the immediate outcome. It's called the United States Department of the Navy versus Egan, EGAN, from 1988 before the U.S. Supreme Court. And essentially, what was decided in that case, if you read the concurring opinions, is under the Constitution, since the president is commander in chief of the military and chief diplomat for the country, he has absolute, unquestioned authority to classify any document he chooses, partially or fully, or declassify it partially or fully, and by any means he chooses to do so. So if you say archivist can supersede his constitutional authority, that act is unconstitutional. And as a matter of fact, the reality of the whole thing is those documents contain very incriminating evidence against the current administration, or at least the Biden part of it. And from what's on those things, he ought to be in jail.
Yes, sir.
Not Trump, but Biden.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you and Dana. I love y'all spaces, and I love y'all too. I hope y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Appreciate you as well. Um, you always tag us in some good stuff, so I appreciate that. I want to go to Damon.
Hey Dana, and how you doing, Judge? Can y'all hear me?
Hi. Yes.
I hear
Right.
you
Well, you
fine.
got my name right, Dana. Yeah. So it's Damon. So I guess I'm named
Thank
after
you. I've been
Damon
tearing up
Wilson.
people's names tonight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think my mom had a crush on Damon Wilson, so that's where I got my name from. But there was a gentleman, Indy, I believe your grandfather served under the Red Ball Express, and I'm, I owe a debt of gratitude to those men because I was in the Army 20 years retired, and um, if it wasn't for them, then there would be no General Patton racing across the France to bail out the 101st and help them out and push back the Germans. But speaking of that, wow, the symbolism of having so-called first Black Indian president sort of worries me because I look at that individual as commander in chief, leader of the military, and the way the threat landscape is across this whole entire world. We got China, Russia, Ukraine, all that stuff, and stuff going on in Israel. I don't think she has the leadership qualities to provide or project confidence. And also, the military is struggling with recruiting. And just asking some of the vets, they don't even want their kids signing up for the military if she becomes commander in chief. And I hate to sort of say that, and I don't want to come across as being sexist, but yeah, we do need someone that can project power and believe in American might. So I just wanted to get just know what your thoughts on as to what I said. And also one last thing. No, she was not listening to no Tupac at Howard University. I would have probably believed that she was listening to some go-go music and smoking a little herb, as we called it back then. But no, she was not listening to no Tupac. So that's all I have. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the what I just said earlier.
I think your points are valid. And I think, yeah, take it with a grain of salt because a lot of what you're getting is propaganda. You have Miss Chameleon. You have somebody that for their entire life has been celebrating being Indian, and all of a sudden, when it's convenient, they're black. Most people are not familiar with Indians, but if you know some, you'll know some of them are very, very dark as anybody black you've ever met. That said, some of them take advantage of that and they pass themselves off. She's told a lot of lies. Like, for example, she says she's the first black Greek to be vice president and candidate for president of the United States. She's not. Hubert Humphrey, who was made in the late 30s in Minnesota, blonde haired, blue eyed, balding, 6 feet 4, who made grad chapter in the late 1940s and was made an honorary life member without necessity of paying dues in 1967, was a member of a black frat, A Phi A, and he was the first, but he didn't even make any claim of being black. He just got pledged with a lot of wood way back when. He handled it. And he also, under Lyndon Baines Johnson, was vice president of the United States. And even though he ran for president, he lost against Tricky Dick Nixon. But, that's a lie too when she says she's the first. She's not. And then we have the Greens and we have the other stuff too. Want to hear the big lie? How she's talking now about she was tough on the border? And then she's telling another overt lie about the Republican Party blocking anything to enforce border security. What's not being said by mainstream media is where that is being blocked is because it's part of a big aid package for Ukraine and a few other things that aren't too very popular. So they're tied together. And the whole objective is uh, you vote against border security if you don't vote for all of the rest of the nonsense that's in that very large package. So they should have separated it out, but they didn't because they wanted to be able to make that bogus claim. So there's all kinds of stuff being lied to. But the point of the exercise is Donald Trump was a successful businessman. When Donald Trump was holding office, in spite of what he had to go through as an outsider, he did one hell of a lot. You take Kamala Harris, and she basically has been not only not part of the solution, she's been a hell of a part of the problem for everybody. So if I just talked about proven track record, hers is pathetic.
Well, let me say this because I said this before that all politicians lie. They do. So I'm not saying that one is honest and one is a liar. They all lie because they all want to be reelected and they're going to say whatever that needs to be said to get elected or reelected. So I'm not I'm not going to sit up here and say Trump is perfect and all this great stuff as if he didn't have flaws or made bad decisions. However, I think that people need to start when they're going to the voting polls or vetting these candidates. You need to look at their agenda. You need to look at if they were in office before, what they supported, what they tried to help get passed. And, you look at their track record. And when you start doing that and you compare the two when it comes to Trump or Kamala, yeah, Trump is he's gonna win that battle. That's it. All this other stuff, whether he a racist or not, I don't care. You're not gonna like everybody. Everybody's not gonna like you. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, how are they gonna benefit this country? And then, most importantly, people need to start focusing on your local elections because that's going to affect us first before the federal government steps in. So I just wanted to add that. Anything else you wanted to say, Damon? I need to move on to
Oh,
another speaker.
let me point this out too. Well, never mind. I'm gonna go
All right, so go ahead, Damon.
No, ma'am. I'm just going to park my Hummer and just listen for the rest of the night. Thanks for letting me on.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for your question. It was interesting.
All right, I want to get to El Hotep, and then is Tanya still? Yeah, Tanya. Then the Life, Diplomat, Ellis Trust, and Mr. Longwood. So go ahead, El Hotep.
Hey, what's up, Dana? Hey, what's up, Judge? How's it going?
Great. How are you?
Okay, sir.
Pretty good. I just wanted to ask two questions real quick. Judge, what's California's next? Well, what's the residents and anyone that's involved with the reparations movement? What would be their next strategy or their next play? Because I know you talked about it before. It kind of seems like this was just going to be doomed from the start. Um, California doesn't seem like they're interested in doing anything for Black Americans as far as reparations. I mean, they got 40 what was it $45 million for an animal shelter and stuff like this. It's just a bunch of nonsense that they're putting their resources into and not really focused on the issue of reparations or that topic at all. And then my second question was, if Trump does get elected again, what would probably be the most important cabinet position for him to fill this term versus the last term?
Let me answer the second part. Probably be Attorney General. Next thing on the first part, it was a grandstand effort. Everybody involved knew that California One was totally unable to afford reparations, even in the amount that San Francisco was talking about for the Bay Area Black population. Next thing is they knew that whatever came about, nothing would come of it because of California's ballot initiative. Third thing, they know that 54% of California is Hispanic, 48% of the registered voters are Hispanic. And going back to the second one, ballot initiative, it takes 25,000 signatures to get anything on a ballot. And had there been reparations passed, it would surely be defeated in a ballot referendum, and it would likely not pass muster because of a number of things. But it was just see what we did when they knew that it wasn't going anywhere. It was just showpiece to say we're on your side, which is no, you're not. And the other thing that you look at, if you get into the mechanics of what happened, they are stuck with a position where it says, okay, it surprised us because we didn't read it. What? You introduced it. Isn't it your responsibility to read what you're trying to get passed so you understand it? What kind of legislator are you if you are trying to push something and you don't know what it is you pushed?
Now, like
It's
not to cut
in
you
other
off.
words, it's doomed to fail, and they know it, but they can showboat on it.
That being said, what laws could California pass? I guess to protect the rights of freedmen or Black Americans. I mean, because as you know, I mean, California passed this weird HIV protection law where people with HIV/AIDS don't really have to, you know, disclose their status, and their justification was that, or their justification for that was to protect the LGBTQ community. And Jerry
I know.
Brown, you know, um, championed that. So I mean, what other laws or legal steps um, do the people of California have to take, or will they take next if there's no other law that could be passed or anything?
Well, if I can briefly touch on that, there is very, 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 very little likelihood that a lawsuit would prevail because one, if you wrong someone in California, you have a finite statute of limitations, which is very short. Depending upon what it is, it ranges between 1 and I think 3 years. And it's been a long time since most people have suffered any of the slings and arrows of direct discrimination. Next thing, you've got torts, which is civil wrongs, die with the perpetrator unless it's a wrongful death. And then the heirs have a limited amount of time governed by a very short statute of limitations to do something. So most everybody that was directly impacted has been dead for a long time, and most people who are responsible have been dead for a long time. And even if you took the people currently alive, you have that 1, 2, 3 year possible statute of limitations, depending upon what you're squawking about. And for most people, that's left too. It would have to be a legislative act, an enablement and appropriations act. In other words, somebody's legislature says these people were wronged and they're entitled to some compensation, and this is how we're going to pay for it. Now, that would have to survive a possible veto by a state governor, California's maybe, I don't know, Newsom, who knows? Then it'd have to survive a referendum in California, which, as I said, just requires 25,000 signatures, which is a minuscule amount in the country's biggest state. And then it would have to go through court systems. And then remember, California is the source of Baki and ending affirmative action. And reparations is by definition a sort of affirmative action. And showing it's remedial, you'd have to show all kinds of proof on an individual basis, let alone try to set this up for a class action to establish damages. So it's going to be a very interesting situation.
All right.
I had some ideas, but what I'm seeing in California is just loudmouth posturing. It's not going anywhere.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate that,
Okay.
Judge. Appreciate it, Dana.
Appreciate you. All right. Let me get to Tanya. Tanya. Not Tanya. Tanya. Sorry.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah. How you pronounce
Yes,
your name?
ma'am.
It's pronounced Tanya, but it's spelt with an A.
Oh.
That's just the way
Oh, okay.
she likes to say it that way. Hi, Judge.
Hi there.
I've listened to you for many years, watched you on TV. It's the first time I've ever been involved in anything like this on this. Like, I've never joined into one of these talks before, but I kind of ran across y'all and thought it was really interesting what you were talking about. Judge, I have kind of a couple questions, if it's okay. One of them, I want to know, where do you get all your information? I mean, I know you've been around a while, and I know you, but you just have all this stored information in your head, and I'm just wondering where it all comes from. Just
Okay, that's just been me.
okay, you
I've
just
been one of those people who didn't really have to study hard. Um,
yeah, but you retained it.
Wait,
I,
Judge, you need to
I
speak
could
up. You're too low.
well, I am actually talking kind of loud. Sorry about that. I think we are having
No,
difficulties
just
again,
what
but
if I know you have the headsets on, but wherever your phone is at, bring it closer to you.
I'm sitting in the same chair I've been in
Where's
for
your
the last
phone?
hour or
Where's your
so.
phone at?
Right, same place, sitting
I
in my
bring it.
lap
Just
for
bring
the
it
last
closer. Just
hour and
bring
a half.
it closer.
Well, I mean, it hasn't moved, but I will
It could be
take it from the.
atmospheric, some kind of atmospheric or something going on.
Okay,
But you said
let's just put it.
okay.
Let's just put it this way: I could read 5,000 words a minute when I got up to speed. I have excellent retention. I can still remember stuff I read 50, 60 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't have to work too hard at it. So
Well,
it's just me.
I'm impressed. That's one thing. Okay. Two, I just want to offer for anybody listening who's interested in in what we're talking about between Kamala and Trump and the way she changes. Yeah, Trump is backed up a little bit, but he'll be the first to tell you that he's got to get elected. But if you go back and you look at a 1985 interview that Donald Trump had with Oprah Winfrey back when they were big buddies and she was pushing him to run way back then, and you listen to what the man said, it has not changed a single iota in 40 years. He
As
not
I
even,
said earlier, ma'am, the problem is not politics. The problem is we've got a new element on the scene. It's
yeah,
called the pushing of the rainbow cult, which is
yes.
effectively a brand new religion that's trying to push itself on the country and the world.
Well, I don't know if you can tell by the way I speak, but I'm in Texas. And so there's all kinds of neat stuff going on here. But the reason I brought it up is because I want people to know the difference between why people say that, you'll say, well, Kamala was this way or this way or this way. I mean, I've watched her. I'm obsessed with all these politics and I watch all of this stuff and I research everything. I don't believe anything anyone says. And but I've watched her change her story over and over and over. And at the same time, Trump's has never changed. He says dumb things, he over exaggerates, things of that nature, but his policies have not wavered. And so I just want people that if they get the chance to go back and look at that interview. In 2015, he was appearing on The View, and Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and that whole group were just loving on him and hugging him and giving him kisses and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just insane how much everything's changed. That
He
being
doesn't support the new religion.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just crazy. It's crazy to me. It's like I've been looking around, I'm going, what happened to common sense? And when people say things like, I'm sorry, I made notes while we were talking. Oh, I'm trying to figure out why people will go against their own best interest to vote for somebody when if they just did a little bit of research, they would find out that she's no good for anybody.
Well, it's like this. The Nazis came up with this truth. Tell a lie long enough and loud enough, and you can get anyone, including the liar, to believe it. That's from Joseph
Well,
Goebbels.
what is this?
Nazi men are propaganda, and the media is the propaganda engine for the far left. And they've been telling this lie vigorously over and over and over and over and
I know.
loudly, so people believe the lie. But
I
the
have,
interesting thing is
I'm
that's
sorry.
what we're doing right now. The truth can offset the lie. So some people have to have the nerve to tell the truth. And one of the propaganda methods is to suppress the truth being said so the lie prevails. And that's what you've got right now.
But why are they doing it when the end result is going to be kind of a socialist government where everybody's broke and the world is going to keep burning because America's not going to be strong enough to keep it intact and things. Why is it that they want this? What is the end goal? That's what
The goal is to set up this new cult, this new religion, which unlike every other religion, monotheistic or pagan or whatever it may be, it is devoted to destroying the development of proper human character.
But it's worldwide.
I know it's
Okay.
being spread. It's
Yeah.
like look at what happens with each of the major religions when they come into being. They go out with the torch and the sword to impose the religion on everybody. You can even take the Hebrew faith and go back to the Old Testament with Exodus. What they do coming out of Egypt, going to the promised land in modern terms is ethnic cleansing.
All right, you know what? Well, I need to cut in
It's
for a minute.
happened
I
from
need to
day
cut in. I
one.
need to cut in. You're very low,
Okay.
Judge. Fix those headphones.
Okay, I'll speak up.
No,
I'll
no,
speak
no.
up
It's not
louder.
that. It's something with the volume. I don't know if you need
I
to
don't
turn
know
up.
what it is. I've got
Do
it
you have?
all
Listen,
the way
just
up.
listen to me
Have
for a
him
second.
unplug his mic and plug it back in.
No, just listen to me for a second. You have those headphones on.
Yes, I do. I've had them on since I've been
So can
on.
you turn the volume up on those headphones because the microphone?
It's all
No,
the way
you
up.
need to check. Is the microphone?
I am.
Let me ask you this question: is the microphone attached to those headphones? To the ones that's on
Yeah.
your ears?
Yeah.
You're too low. Sit up, or I don't know if you have something covering the mic part. Do you have a jacket on?
No, I don't.
Then you need
And I'm looking at my iPad at a readout. And what's going on is the mic is functioning.
turn
I
the
think
mic up
what's
on your
happening.
iPad.
I have now. It won't go any higher.
Then go in your settings and turn the headphone mic up.
I have.
You need to you want to have to speak
Look.
up. You're way too low.
Well, I'll yell. Okay.
And I don't
Now, am I doing better right
a
now?
little bit, but I don't know. It's the goddamn headphones.
Well, it's not the headphones. What I'm looking at right now is I'll read it to you. It says an unrecognized device may have been added to your account.
All right, just forget it. Just go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead and finish up. Go
we can
ahead.
hear him. We can hear him.
Go ahead and finish up, Tanya.
Please, I was interested in the points you were making, ma'am. They were good ones. Go ahead. You there?
No, she's not there. I think we should probably go to the next person.
No, Tanya, first of all, don't come in here getting on my nerves or just disrupting trust because I will drop your ass down.
Okay. No, I think my phone closed. I had to reopen it. I
No
apologize.
problem. Go
Um,
ahead and finish
but
up, Tanya.
I can hear him just fine. I mean, if that, I'm not sure what's going on, but I don't remember what we were talking about. See, Judge, I don't have the recall that you do. Um, okay. Well, I was telling you about the Oprah Winfrey interview that I think people should watch. And then I was going to also mention that, like, but I guess you already know this, but like the media, the way they keep spewing like the lie about the dictator when it was kind of a joke that he made when I watched I watched what he said, the Charlottesville thing. I watched it myself. I know what was reality is. I mean, and people just believe it. I don't understand. It's just, I don't know.
Well, it's got to do with what mainstream media is putting out with his propaganda. Like they're saying he told the Proud Boys to stand by for orders for insurrection. He didn't say that.
No, I
He
know.
said what he said, stand down, which means, hey, stop what you're doing and stand by. There's more to come, which means if you've been in the military, gone through boot camp or ROTC or military school, mean you messed up. So stand down from the nonsense you're doing. You're about to catch it, which means stand by.
Yeah.
So that's what it was about. And I don't know if it's coming across, but I'm raising my voice so I can be
You're
heard.
fine. I can hear you just fine. You sound angry. It's fine. Um, so,
Well,
what, no, I just mean you sound very, you're right there. I mean, there's no problem. I mean, I had some other stuff, but I don't want to take up all your time. You kind of answered the big question. One other thing, what do you think the chances would ever be to get rid of lobbyists in government?
You're not going to, because remember, you have this thing in the First Amendment which says you have a right to petition your government for redress of grievance. And technically, what the lobbyist is somebody that's petitioning the government. So that's part of the collateral consequence of having a government like ours. If you drive your car or you ride in a motor vehicle or you fly in an airplane, it's moving fast. But if something goes wrong, slightly wrong, a whole lot of people could be killed, mutilated, or whatever, burnt up, and there are horrible consequences. That's called collateral damage. So, in a system like ours, there are collateral damage situations that are unavoidable, but we have to put up with them because of what else is in stake.
Well, it's just not so corrupt.
Yeah, I know the fallout for lobbyists is nasty,
All
but
right,
it's
I
part of the
want to. I
process
gotta
of
move on
what
to
we
the other
have.
speakers.
Yes, I'm sorry. Well, thank you so much for listening to me. I appreciate it. And it was great talking to you, Judge. And I'm going to back out and just listen.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, I want to get to the Life and Time Diplomat Ellis Trust, Mr. Longwood. I don't know, is Vern still up here or Duncan, Christopher, if you guys still up here. If not, and then after that, we're just gonna wind it down because I want to end it by midnight. So go ahead, the Life and Time.
Y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question. I've been wanting to ask it for like 2, 3 weeks about Venus. I don't know how to pronounce it. Venezuela, and their oil. Who idea was it to buy oil from Venezuela and take their migrants?
Chief diplomat of the United States. That would be President of the United States. That would be Joe Biden, backed up with consultation with his cabinet that includes Kamala Harris, Imhoff, Mrs. Imhoff, Vice President.
Oh, okay. Because I was looking on the NATO website, and I just realized that it's not just an American thing. It's like a whole NATO thing with the migrants. And I'm finding out like the whole, I guess they try to make a propaganda with the Venezuela president. Then I find out that they buy oil from China, and I mean they did a deal with China and Russia. So I'm just like, so we got migrants and no oil, and now these folks are trying to like migrate with the blacks and all that. So I just wanted to ask that question.
Okay, that's who's responsible, the administration in office.
Okay, I thought it was somebody else behind all that. So that's all I wanted to ask.
Well, it may be, but the administration may be figureheads, but under the Constitution, the President of the United States of America is the chief diplomatic officer of the United States.
Okay, and one more question: why Democrats are so against fracking in our own country, staying stealing oil from other countries?
Because they have an agenda. And the agenda doesn't take into consideration the fact that people have to earn livings and get around in this country. And it's sort of a fantasy. We have all these things we want. We can make a utopia, and humans can overnight reform what took us from cave to condominium. You see, it's a pipe dream. Somebody, what you been smoking, man? You know, that kind of thing.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know, and I just wanted the the black community, the FBA, know what's going on a global aspect. But that's all I wanted. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right. Let's get to Diplomat. Diplomat.
Hello.
Yeah, can you all hear
Yes.
me?
We hear you loudly and clearly.
Hey Dana, how you doing there, Judge?
All
Hello.
right, sir.
Thanks for having me. Well, I'm from Chicago. I'm an activist, and right now we're having a big problem in Chicago with the migrants, and we're having a big problem with disinformation going across the internet. I'm also a paralegal too. Um, so last night I actually went down to the south side of Chicago, which is not too far from me on 61st and King Drive. There was a big rumor on the internet saying that the migrants had rushed in the building and all this other kind of stuff with guns, which wasn't true. I even posted a video. Um, I'm a former gang member in Chicago. One of my biggest aims right now is to bring the gang members in Chicago together, and that's one of the most important things for me right now. Is because I believe see in 2020 I went to the federal penitentiary for shooting a white supremacist in St. Louis, Missouri. My name is Eric Ware. And I've never even mentioned this on social media until right now. So I've been fighting hard. One of the questions I would like to know, I would like to ask you, Judge, is what else could I do or we do that would be conducive to try to get the FBA message to these young brothers? So, and the reason I'm saying this is because when I went over to the area to the complex last night, some of the brothers, the younger brothers, they was under the impression that the migrants was cool with them, but not knowing that a lot of these military operatives that been trained and they know how to fit in. So I just wanted to know what you thought about that or what you think about that.
You know what? Uh, I've been working with youth for a very, very long time. I still work with them. I deal with some of the OGs around here in the Memphis area. What you have to do is just show them manhood. In other words, I'm a man. This is how it works. Uh, what are you about, young man? What's your purpose? You see, are you already dead? And if you think you're already dead, why don't you put your death to some good use?
Mm.
And when you get somebody motivated, it's amazing what happens. But you see, most people aren't motivated because they have no purpose, no cause, and there's no real leadership out there who stands up for anything. What you get nowadays is a push for do anything you want to do,
Mhm.
not because it's the right thing to do, but just because it feels good. And by the way, you don't have to do what you ought to do. So if the people at the top are talking garbage, what do you think's going to happen at the bottom? If the people that run the cities are stealing from the taxpayers, how the devil are you going to inspire the people that work otherwise or don't work at all to behave? Because
Mhm.
it just doesn't make any sense. See,
Mhm.
they need to understand what they're doing ain't cool because they're helping the system out. I used to counsel everybody I put on probation or let out on bond. You had to come to my counseling sessions. I'd start off,
Mhm.
hey man, thanks for doing a good job. Oh, you mean because we straightened out judge? No, hell no, because you did what you did to get in here. What you mean? We want you to do that. We're trying to get rid of your dumb ass because there's not enough jobs to go around. And when you give us an excuse to put you in the penitentiary, you helping us out. We
Mhm.
make big money off of you, huh? So thanks for doing
So,
what you're doing. We need it. And see somebody about then is going, wait a minute, wait. You want us to keep doing this? Yeah, man, it's how it works. Doesn't go
Mhm.
too well if you don't do what you do.
So, Judge, how do we deal with like the coon interference? Because these people are really, really, I mean, the trolls and everything. How do we deal with these coons to to solidify what we're doing and to create boundaries?
Instead of thinking it is a coon, ask, is this guy acting like a man? Or is he pushing something that's unmanly? See,
Mm.
part of the bad thing is the elements of slavery were put in the black culture. So the black man taught himself to be a slave, or
Mhm.
the Negro taught himself to be a slave. And that doesn't work out well. See, you have to be prepared to do certain things, but you have to do those things for the right reason. See, you go down and you go, hey man, what you looking at, man? You looking at me, man. I ain't looking at you. You call me a live fool, man? Man, what's the matter with you? I'm on my way to my job. I ain't got no job, fool. I don't care. See, that guy that's talking nonsense, he wants to die. So there's suicide by putting a gun to your own head, jumping off the building. There's suicide by OD. Man, drugs done claimed another victim, man. This dude ain't trying to get high, he's trying to die. Suicide by cop, suicide by neighbor. You provoke your neighbor into doing you the favor of taking your life because you hate yourself. So I've got a lot of success by saying, hey man, you want to die because you don't see any daylight at the end of your tunnel. That means you an ideal hero, man. So you can go kill those fire-breathing Gila monsters that are setting flames to the tunnel, creating all that smoke. So the people you ought to be dealing with can get to the end of the tunnel. And they look back, man, dude was a hero, man. Instead of glad he's gone.
All right. Anything else?
No, thank you for having me and allowing me to share that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
I want to get that.
Thanks for the insight.
I want to get that, Ellis.
What's going on? I was going to touch on what he said, and we get this a lot, right? I don't know what you are, Judge Joe. I'm a Republican, but the coon thing, a lot of people say, "Oh, he's an old coon," right? And then they always see you talking about a black person. What do you got to say to people who say that? You always up here denigrating black people and stuff, and how do we respond to that?
I'm not denigrating.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, what do you say to people who say
what
that?
I say to that? Well, first off, come find me, kick my ass if you can. I've been taking martial arts for 60 damn years. If you think you bad enough, bring it on. And I got a track record out there in the real streets for doing what's necessary for the people. You want to challenge that? More power to you. You there?
No, I hear you. I just want to, I hear this a lot. So
so what I say is, you punk ass, what have you done except fall for the bullshit? That's what I tell some folk. And it's kind of like, see, we lack heroes. And I don't talk about black folk, but I talk about Negroes. And I'm using Negro in a derogatory sense because I won't use that other N word. If I use that other N word, I'm willing to go to war with you on it. But I'm just like that. Now, I'm listening to these folk. Have they ever been on patrol in their community to get it together? If they ever gone out and spent extra hours all night long trying to go represent some people free of charge because they got wrongfully set up on something? If they gone out and tried to organize the community? Have they gone out and tried to put something together? Have they set up a black history program at a major university? Have they gone out and gotten 200 extra black folk in school? Have you gone out and run a playground with two other young brothers in the worst part of Los Angeles and had hellified results? See, no, you want to talk stuff, let's do it. What have you done except parked your ass in front of a TV set and become expert on basketball, which ain't getting you a damn penny in your pocket unless you're a gambling man and you know how to work the racket? See, let's talk reality. You know how to get your John Wick on, or are you just running off at the mouth? See, and what am I talking about when I say that?
yeah,
Now,
I agree
are
with you.
see that's what I say. And stop thinking like you on a damn plantation. There are no walls. They're in your mind. And nobody owns you. So why in the hell are you exhibiting such loyalty to a party that used to be the party that kept your dumb ancestors enslaved, who wanted them in chains, who got founded in the second decade of the 19th century for the specific purpose of keeping Negroes in slavery and spreading it, who fought the Civil War, started it to keep you in as a slave, who dealt with Reconstruction to put you in a semblance of enslavement, who dealt with segregation and Jim Crow so you couldn't escape the consequences of what was done to your ancestors, and you want to sit there and have absolute loyalty to them. And the loyalty developed very late in the game because of economics. FDR, Harry Truman, the New Deal, and everybody was out of work. And the fact that you had a president, John F. Kennedy, who was a Democratic candidate for president, who called up all of the racist Democratic sheriffs in the South and said, hey, I'm trying to do something here. You want a Democrat in national office? Back me up on this. Back off of this Martin Luther King. And that's how they got it. Now, Negroes running around undyingly loyal to the party of the slave masters, who don't do a damn thing for them except imagery, like's going on with California with that fake effort to get reparations. See, you got a problem. Politics is ruthless. People die sometimes because of this stuff, literally. People get broke because of it quite often. And what's going on is, if no matter what is not done for you, the party in question can always count on your loyalty, absolute loyalty. They have no incentive to do anything for you. And if the other party, no matter what they may try to do, won't get a damn thing out of you, they have no reason to do anything for you. So you have a zero-sum situation where nothing gets done because you're absolutely loyal to one party who doesn't have to give you anything for the loyalty. And the other one, they can't get you to change over because you're so loyal to one party. So you get nothing except rhetoric.
All right. This one I want to do. Can Tanya and Stats, can you drop down a listener? I want to bring a couple of people up, and I want to finish out with this panel. So can you two just drop down a listener, Stats and Tanya? Also, I am going to bring you back up, Trust, because you are already in line after Ellis, and maybe you lost connection or something. So I'm going to let you go after Ellis because I really don't want you to be the last speaker closing out this space. Ellis, did you want to say anything else before I move on to Trust?
No, and I appreciate that, and I just think it's fucked up that a lot of people don't like recognize some of these older, Republicans, conservative leading dudes who did a lot for us. And I don't think even the media recognizes it. So I appreciate that. And I just wanted people to understand where you from, where you come from, because I don't know if everybody knows. So I appreciate that.
I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. All
Hi,
right.
real quick, how do I drop down? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've never done this before.
Okay, I'll drop you down.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let me go to Trust. Go ahead. Trust, then Mr. Longwood, Vern, Duncan, Christopher, and Coco Raw.
Thank you, Dana. I appreciate you allowing me to come back up. For some reason, I think it's just a connection issue and dropped. So, but yeah, Judge Joe Brown, I gotta pull your card on this one. But just to recant real quick about some of the other speakers, fracking, yes, is bad because if you look on YouTube, you can literally just type in fracking, the results of fracking, and people are literally gas actually leaked in people drinking water. So it does cause a lot of issues, earthquakes. Also, if you show people lighting the literally water out of their drinking water from the sink, lighting on fire. So that's the issue. some of the, and also even deal with women being in control as far as like military. We have women in the military. We have women in the Air Force, every level of branch in the military, and also have made decisions during war. So women are absolutely capable because they bring a different perspective into war, maybe things that we don't think about. The intelligent level doesn't change, all right, with women. So her being commander in chief, keep in mind she will also have other people that's professionals to be able to make these sort of decisions. So yes, I'm a supporter of women, especially us having a black woman. Man, can't go wrong with black, baby. Come on now, you can't go wrong with black women. They always led us in the right way. Some of our greatest heroes and bravery are black women, Harriet Tubman and many others. Like she went down to, you know what I mean, with a pistol. So that's bull crap when I hear people say they're incapable of actually leading the country in some sort of way and contribute the way that they have been doing over the last few hundred years, even during the Civil War. So let's go with that. But Judge, I gotta ask you a question, man, because when the
I'm not going for that, by the way, but go ahead.
Yeah.
You're entitled to your
I
view.
appreciate that. So, you know, something you said up here recently, and I'm thinking that you just maybe just full out MAGA, because what you said, especially about Donald Trump not renting to black people because, oh, they just didn't have the rent. I wanted you to hear something from his own secretary. It's only about 20 seconds, but it's
No, please don't play it. Just,
you don't
just,
want me to
just,
play it?
just
Well, it's
don't play it. Don't
let
play
me
it.
just let me just explain it, Judge. So what she simply says, this is what we do. We put C or W next to a person's application. All right. Black people needs he had live in Flatbush, and the white people he only rent to in the very nice areas. No disrespect, man, but that means your black ass, even if you had the credit, the money, couldn't live there either. So to sit here and say, oh, it's because
I
bet you couldn't. Because guess what? Black people who had the money back then, he said no to, and they threw the application in the garbage. And this is why they got sued. So what are you talking about?
All right, let me do something. Let me interject real quick,
put it
Trust.
to you
Wait
this
one
way.
second, Judge.
Go ahead.
1 second, Judge.
Go ahead.
When you bring up that so-called track record of his rental, are you trying to say that makes Trump a racist because he didn't allegedly rent to black people? Yes or no?
Among many other things. So yes.
No, ain't no among
It was-
many
it-
other, because you wait 1 second. You can't name the many others. That's just the
I
one
sure can.
one trick pony. That's the
No,
one trick
no, I
pony.
can. I can.
Outside of the
What?
Central Five, those are the two
Absolutely.
trick ponies.
And and go to his roots. Let's go back further than that. His father also donated
I
to
don't
the
care about his father is
to the
dead.
KKK.
His
Okay.
father is dead. So what you're not going to do is overtalk me. If you want to talk about Trump, talk about Trump. Daddy is dead. Daddy don't got nothing to do with it. Stick to the facts. And the fact of the matter is, if you want to talk about Trump record, so-called record not written to black people, because that's never been proven, number one, not fully proven, then how about your girl Torrency Bill that literally locked up innocent parents and fuck up their whole lives? So why don't you tell us all of the damage that your girl Kamala, who you claim is, who you think is black, she's not black, but you tell us all of the fucked up policies that she passed just in the state of California. Run those.
Hey, sure. But again, they were sued from the United States government for discrimination. No problem. But you said
when did Trump?
I said run Kamala Harris
Yeah.
California policies. Run that. That's
Okay,
it.
so the policy about the schooling. Now, this was to get kids, keep them in school. This was not.
We know about the Torrency Bill. I don't need you to explain shit.
What
I
do
just
you
want
want me
you
to
to
explain?
name. How the fuck are you talking over the mute? I want you to name the policies that she created that fucked over people in California, particularly black people.
Can't name any because there weren't any.
You
Well,
can't
I can
name
name a
any
lot of
because you don't want to do your own fucking research, because you want to suck on her clit and be on that goddamn plantation picking cotton, because she does have a lot. Now you want to tell them, Judge? Please educate them.
Dana, Okay, let's put it this way. Name anything she did that helped anybody black or anybody
Absolutely.
else that was ordinary. What? Go ahead.
It's a double
What?
mute, a double mute.
Well, just name something she did that helped out black folks.
Okay, thank you. And look, no disrespect. I'm not in here to disrespect.
I'm just
I'm
saying
just in here
name
to really
something
have
if you
a
can.
honest conversation because I understand that you are obviously on the other side and this is your thinking. So
Can you
Yeah,
just answer his
yeah,
question?
I'm going to answer. I'm just telling you
yeah.
my intent. Okay. So at the end of the day, yes. So the Back on Track program, which was also implemented into other parts of the country, including body cameras, which she started in California to make sure cops are doing the right thing. But let's go back to the Back on Track program that actually was started to get.
She didn't start body cam program.
I, I
That's
just want
not
to tell you,
true.
sir, because we all have different opinions, but she came in.
No, I'm just saying I know where it started. I was in the criminal justice
Okay.
system when it
Okay. It
started,
was a great idea
and
too,
she
right?
had nothing to do with it.
She did.
Yeah,
She
but she had
started the
nothing
back
to
on.
do with it.
She started the
She
Back on
didn't
Track
start it.
program. That was her.
She didn't. That was really kind of BS. It really
So
didn't do
so let
anything.
me
It was ill
let me tell you
advised.
how it helped a lot of black people and a lot of people in general. When people talk about she incarcerated all these people, it was a lie. That was a lie. This her predecessor actually caused a lot of people to go to. They went after a lot of people, and she actually 69% of her conviction rate went down because she was going after the larger people, say for example, child molesters, drugs, and also everybody, people, every last one of her people, her citizens in that town that got killed, murdered, she went to their funerals. All right, so this is where a lot of her policy was surrounded. She went to know those people who were murdered and violent crimes and everything. She went to every last one of those funerals.
No,
So
she did.
yes, she did.
No,
That's
she
all.
did not. You got proof?
See, but yes, I
Where?
really
Time
do. But
out. Time
Where's your
out.
proof
Time
at?
out. Time out. Okay, hold on.
I just
Time out.
let me just finish.
Explain this one. Explain this one before you go. You're giving mainstream
I'm
media's
not.
propaganda,
I'm
but
not.
how about this one? There were 6 families. There was somebody that was a serial killer, killed 6 people. They wrote her an open letter to the published in several newspapers. Will you please stop playing politics with this and let this man plead guilty to life without possibility of parole like he wants to, instead of you trying to grandstand for political purposes? When's the last
Who was
time
that
you
man?
heard of the family? It was individual.
Who? What's his
But
name?
what about
I can't do
what
like
about the 6 families?
I can't listen.
Well, I mean, it made a lot of
Well,
notoriety.
then you should know the
How about
name,
the fact?
right?
Well, you should know.
Remember the name.
You should be if he should know the name, then you should know all the fucking funerals she's allegedly
I
went to,
don't.
which she
She
did
did,
not.
I
ma'am.
don't.
You could look
I
into it.
don't.
Don't take my word
Hold
for
on.
it. I
Hold on.
I'm
promise you.
not
Don't take
taking
my
your
word.
word because
Hold
you
on.
But
talking
Hold on.
bullshit.
Hold on.
I'm not.
That's a lie.
I'm not.
That is a lie. She did not. The press put that out. And the tool of the mainstream media you seem to rely upon for the accuracy of your
Absolutely not. I
information
listen. I
is
listen
the
out people
absolute
mouths, including
tool,
Trump.
is the absolute tool of white
So
supremacy in
so listen, you
California.
asked me a question about the back on track program, which is very essential. I just want people to understand because
No,
having low
I
I
got
can't even y'all allow everybody else to
I got
say
you.
what they wanted to say, and I
Look.
don't even get the opportunity to
Go
do
ahead,
that.
go ahead, go ahead,
I'm just
go
trying
ahead,
to be
go ahead,
fair
go
here,
ahead,
okay?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so the back on
Go ahead.
step program, so this was really geared towards a lot of low level offenders, okay? People that's getting stopped for bogus charges because there was a problem. They were target black people. So she came in to help because there was a problem. Keep in mind, regardless of what people say, even back with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Republican state, governor, or whatever, these people, and we all know the LAPD, we know these people are very harsh on people of color, okay?
Hey,
So
get out of my room.
let me just finish the
I'm sorry. I'm
background.
talking to my dog. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So the back on step program actually helped. It actually helped a lot of low level people of color to get back on track, even with the credit to get a lot of their crimes or any small crimes off the record, that help them get jobs and housing. Okay, she helped these people. It wasn't just okay, take you out of prison. No, we're gonna get you back on the right track, and including programs for you to get for some type of working program, electrician. Absolutely. Don't check. Listen, if I'm a liar, please check the record. Stop listening to these people on Twitter. Just check the record. It's right there. She really helped a lot of people.
Bro, I was in prison while she was attorney general, brother.
Ma'am,
That's
sir,
bullshit.
people act like she showed up to people sentencing. She didn't do that. She literally.
May I interject something?
Sure.
I got discovered to an extent for this TV program because I had a set of real programs in place. I was in a city that had the fifth largest criminal court jurisdiction in the United States in absolute numbers. And I put in place some programs that over a 10-year period reduced the statewide recidivism rate from 80+% for felons down to 18%. It was dropping when I retired. I call bullshit on that because I'm very familiar with her program. I was in California as a authorized arbitrator under California law as per the state Supreme Court. Everything I did on the show was official and enforceable, by the way. It wasn't fake, according to the California Supreme Court in several written opinions. And I call bullshit because I was in one of the acknowledged experts in the country on how to do something like that. That thing that you were talking about is garbage.
It's not garbage.
It's the manufacturer.
It's not garbage.
It didn't even work.
It's not. I think a lot of things you have said, even about black people, was a lot of garbage. Okay, I'm being honest with you. Like I'm disappointed, man.
You don't have the expertise.
No, well, listen, I got common sense, right? I got common sense. I got common sense, and you really have disappointed me. Like I hear you on the Twitter Spaces.
You went for a fake, and you fell for it.
I didn't go for a fake.
And you act like you're pussy whipped behind pussy you ain't even.
Hey, hold on a second. Hey, my pussy right upstairs, okay? I'm not pussy. I don't get pussy whipped. That might be your problem, but that ain't my problem.
No, it ain't mine.
Yes, it is. You know what? That dollar must be your problem because you gotta be paid for these people. I don't get it.
The bottom line is
you're a mega whip.
That you are a product of the emasculation process that's been going on, and your comments about the female-led or female leadership in the military show it.
Let me tell you something. I'm more man than Trump will ever be.
No, you're not.
Okay?
No, you're not.
Trump is more. Trump is more.
What you done?
Hey,
what you done in life?
All right.
What you done in life?
One second.
Anybody shot at you and you stood up and gave a power fist and not said fight? The word was F-U that he said. You done that? When somebody shot at you, you've been in combat, you've been out on the streets and put stuff in order, you put it on the line? Hell no. You talking shit because you fell for the bullshit.
Let me just interject this real quick, and then I got to move on to the other speakers. I'll give you the last word real quick, well, partial last. But in San Francisco, the incarceration rate for Black men is 14% high, 14 times higher than the rate of white men. Black adults in San Francisco are 11 times more likely to be booked into jail than white adults. And San Francisco, of the Black population in San Francisco only make up 5%. And these are stats under Kamala Harris when she was DA. It took after she left that position as Attorney General, and the man who's there now, forgot his name, but I believe he's of Latino and Mexican descent. He actually intentionally seek funding from the MacArthur Foundation and other monies to advocate and help figure out and research and create resources and programs as to why Black people are more likely to be incarcerated, particularly in that city of San Francisco. So he did something after she left. She has not done anything to help Black people specifically
I can
I'm
prove all
sorry.
that.
I'm sorry. Not only in the state of California, and definitely in this, and also in the city of San Francisco when she was a district attorney before she even became attorney general. It took someone after her to actually receive outside funding to figure out why is it so high and what can we do to lower that percentage. So she didn't do shit for black people specifically in the state of California and damn sure in the city of San Francisco. So
And you sound like you're emasculated too by the propaganda efforts of the Democratic Party, the boys in blue wearing sports bras, and all of the sissified nonsense that is being pushed to keep you from acting in a manly fashion, and you bought into that garbage.
Hey, Judge, are you paid in any way by any Republican or
no, Republicans don't pay. The Democrats pay. So you're actually stupid to be coming on everybody's X space, pumping your fist for Democrats, and you're not receiving a check. At least Luke and Roland and even the low level ones, they get a check. The Democrats pay very well. Republicans do not pay. So let me go on to the next speaker.
that was a serious question. I wasn't
No, it
trying to be
was, and I
funny.
just answered it. He's
Oh,
not being paid
okay,
because
can I land my plane?
no, Republicans don't pay. Democrats pay. So why are you not getting a check? I just answered your question. Republicans do not pay. They don't. They're cheap as shit. But you know what they do? They make it's easy to get policy passed, especially if it's for you to be independent, right? To get shit done where you live at. It's easy to get policy passed, and they make sure that it's less government in your way when you want to get shit done in this society. But Democrats pay people like you to actually talk their stupid ass talking points. So where's your check? I need to go to the next person, and that is Mr. Longwood.
Well, I appreciate it. I wish I did get paid, but I don't. And
Well,
Judge,
listen,
I'm
you
more
better
of a
go,
man than you ever will be.
I don't get paid.
go figure that out. Go get your check, honey, because they got that money.
Hey, I just want to say I'm more of a man. I'm not emasculated, bro. I'm more of a man than you ever be. And I have this discussion with you.
Just knock it off, brother, please.
Yeah, I removed him.
Go find your mama to lead you someplace.
All right, Mr. Longwood, then
Go
Vern,
find
Duncan,
mama.
Christopher, and Coco.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Basically, one thing I want to say that my uncle was in New York. He rented for Trump for years. He's very, very black. So the issue, oh, he didn't rent to black people, that's all a lie. My uncle rented for Trump for years. And I don't really want to hold you guys up too much. I just want to know if this particular stream is like being recorded, it's archived, because I came in late. I'm sure I missed a lot.
I didn't record it on X this time, but you could go on YouTube at the real. What is this? What is this on YouTube? Give me a second. What channel is? Oh, what damn channel is this on YouTube? The Real Judge Joe Brown on YouTube. At the Real Judge Joe Brown on YouTube, and you could listen to it from the beginning.
All right, appreciate it. Hey, yo, Judge Joe Brown, keep doing your thing. I really appreciate your knowledge, your wisdom, and your experience. Y'all have a nice evening.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. It's all about manhood and doing right.
Yes, sir.
Vern.
Yeah, I'm here. How's everybody tonight?
Good in yourself.
Yeah, I'm good. I just had a question, Judge. Long time fan of yours, first time actually talking to you. I've talked to you a couple times on Twitter, but like, my biggest question is about like the mainstream media. I'm in Pittsburgh, and Kamala was here yesterday, and she's supposed to be coming back later this week. And of course, when she was here, the media, it was all fuzzy and lovey-dovey with her. I'm one county over from the assassination attempt when Trump was here, and you don't even hear anything about it anymore. Like they don't even talk about it on the mainstream media here anymore. So my biggest question is, was there like a year that you could point to, or when did like they become like the mainstream media become like this big Democratic surrogate for
Well,
basically
okay.
for the Democrat Party?
Let me tell you how it happened. I saw it happen. I was at UCLA in the 60s, all right? And
Okay.
all across the college campuses, this around the country, this was developing. There was a war going on. The Nam, it was not a popular war. You had a coalition that put itself together. There were the feminists who hated that they weren't men. You had some lesbians that hated men. You had some beta boys, weak guys that hated they weren't strong men. Some gay boys that hated they weren't normal men. And then you had this large segment that was convinced that war was a man thing, so they hated men for war. They all got together. They decided that they were going to strengthen their control of the entertainment industry that they were well entrenched in. They were going to take over the communications industry. They were going to get into the news industry, and they were going to get into politics. They would deal with co opting the Democratic Party. They were saying this in speeches because the Democratic Party had aligned itself with pushing this agenda that was keeping Johnson in the White House at the time, fairness for blacks, and they were going to ride on that, and they were going to infiltrate the Republican Party so they could operate behind the scenes. What they expressed was ultimately they had a 25-year agenda, a 50-year agenda, and they were going to create political crisis so they could operate secretly behind the scenes. So they took over the movie industry, which was the main propaganda industry in the world at the time, that's always been. And they came up with black exploitation movies, one movie staying as long as people would come to it instead of what they used to have. They charged 3 times as much to go in, and they wound up solidifying control, and they started glorifying dysfunction. And the tabloid journalism thing, the gossip column that used to be on the last column, last page of the last section, became front page regular stuff. You got this. You got a thing that happened 35 years ago with Gulf War One, 1989. CNN was about to go bankrupt until that happened, and then you could see a cruise missile fly past the 7th floor hotel room, make a sharp right hand bank, and then the explosion as it hit a target. That saved them. And they got into this thing where there was not enough news to fill up 24/7. So they started going to talking heads and they started making news and entertainment and driven by ratings rather than by public service functions. And this glorification of this function, this emasculation of the country where duty, honor, obligation, all the manly things became an anathema to this crowd, and they tried to push it out. And then they started doing this thing with tranny bit, which was new to the whole equation. And you got a real live mess going on. And now the country is so damn effeminate that it doesn't even think like it's a man or a woman. You got this myth of what is 126 genders, which even the medical profession, when you actually hear from them, says it's garbage. And you've got this thing where you have out in California where if they try to mutilate your child and convert them to some kind of artificial freak, it becomes a criminal penalty for a teacher to inform this parent of the student that something's going wrong. You have the vice presidential candidate, Waltz, who just signed into effect a law for his state that allows the state to co opt and take the parental rights away from a parent if they try to oppose a minor child being converted by mutilation into some kind of artificial freak. Now, that's where they're going with this. And that's where this whole thing led. They promised all over the country to do this. And they've been at it for 55 years and they've done a very expert job on it. And one of the things you have to keep in mind is they adopted a mantra from the 60s that is still applicable: by any means necessary, by the lie, by the exaggeration, by the manufacturing of truth, by the planting of evidence, and most disturbingly, what you can see, by something that has a modern term called lawfare, which the Bill of Rights was supposed to have prohibited, but which they tramp on like it's a dirty floor mat. Now, that's how we get where we are now. It's a mess.
Right. So you think it's because I was thinking I agree with what you're saying. I thought it seemed like it when Trump came down the escalator, that's when the big media kind of flipped on him because as we've seen before, like he was friends with Oprah, he was on the View. Before he was a Democrat before and he was okay, but then it seemed when he came down the escalator as a Republican, it seems like that's when the turn with him kind of shifted. Even like people like on Fox News, even because I know he took down a lot of those old school Rhino Republicans, and a lot of them seem like they're just that seems like a paid opposition network itself. But I thought it was mainly whenever he came down the escalator, that's when it kind of made the turn for him, like as far as like the media went.
Yeah, like if you want to see, the Democratic Party wants it to look like it's a racist thing. But the president in office right now that they lied about his mental competence for so long, he bragged about, and in fact, delivered the eulogy for the former Grand Dragon of the Klan, Byrd, Senator Eastland, Stennis, Governor Wallace campaigned for him, mentored him. Faubus, who stood in the doorway of Arkansas High School back in the 50s and said, as long as I'm governor of this here state, and not a nigger is going to come through the doors of this high school. Until Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne down there to enforce the edicts of the U.S. Supreme Court. But they sponsored that clown. Those avowed, demonstrated, proven racist came in there, and Biden was bragging about he knew his Negroes, and Negroes were animals that turned the streets into jungles, and he and Eastland were going to put them in zoos, and Negro children turned schools into zoos, and they were like roaches. When they got into a school, they infested it, and you couldn't get them out. And that's what he was saying. And I heard him with my own ears, saw him with my own eyes when he was doing it. And people all of a sudden think that that's okay. And then you get Kamala Harris, who's been for her whole career, except when she was trying to get in Howard, which, by the way, if you go through there now, looks like an international campus. It doesn't look particularly black.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can literally show black people a whole booklet of racist stuff Joe Biden said, and they still voted for him at 91%. And I'm gonna just say one last thing. You know, I'm in PA. Like that guy before that was doing that fracking thing ain't gonna go over well here. And I hope black people stop voting. A lot of us say we don't like the government, but we're literally voting for more government for Democrats. And like I'm a big 2A guy, so by doing that, you're actually voting for you not to have 2A rights. So,
oh yeah,
you know,
amen on that. See, she's already declared that one of her first things is going to be to sign an executive order banning semi-auto weapons and having an official enforced buyback. Now that's so unconstitutional, it's pathetic. It won't stand up, but that'll be a year and a half or 2 years before the NRA and other organizations can organize a response. And by that time, there will be innocent, good Americans, white, black, brown, red, yellow, shot dead, put in jail, having their property confiscated, and all kinds of hell going on that can't be undone because they know it's wrong, but they just want to create that confusion to push their little crazy ways. I'm not on gay folk. Get your freak on in your bedroom. That's your business. But I am against that rainbow cult that's trying to negate character and what is it? Disarm us while opening up the border so the cartels can bring in crates of weapons along with the kilos of drugs, and the rest of us are supposed to do what? All of the benefits are going to these damn illegals. They're taking over apartment complexes. They're being lawless. They're getting out of being thrown out of penitentiaries down there in South America and ushered up here
right.
so
And if you look
they
at
can get
Chicago,
rid of the
Illinois,
problems.
you look at Illinois, whether that thing with the Venezuelans happened or not. I mean, Illinois got crazy gun control, but a lot of the blacks there voted for that. You know, so now it
Um,
takes you. You got to sell an arm and leg to get a gun there.
one
And they're
second,
giving
one
them away.
second. Because Vern, I need to go to Dunkin' because I want to start
Yeah, I'm
running
done.
it now.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
good,
Go ahead, Duncan.
good points. Good points.
Thank you.
Duncan.
Oh, yeah, what's going on, Judge Brown? Hey,
All right.
yeah, I had a couple questions. I really I'm gonna try to make it like two or three questions. The first question, I hear people saying, how America would be more socialist, and socialism is a problem. Um, well, if we're gonna end social funding for a lot of stuff, could we end foreign aid before we attack funding for Americans? You know, I think that I'm against foreign aid. I'm against America funded Zionism. I think Germany should take responsibility for Israel because Israel is reparations for the Holocaust. My second thing I wanted to say is that I also have like we're talking about the gay mafia or whatever, right? Right, like that. I look at that as a bipartisan thing. I referenced the Franklin scandal and Lawrence E. King Jr. His participation in the child prostitution ring where he went to prison, and so I look at that as bipartisan, right? So I would like a federal database, like, cause they got this law that's against stealthing, right? It's against the law for a man to stealth a woman. I guess they look at it like if she's drunk when she have sex, right? You can get charged with stealthing. If you take the rub off while you having sex, you can get charged with stealth. But for some
Wait,
reason,
Hold on. What are you saying? What word are you using? I can't make that out.
stealthing, like a stealth bomber plane.
That's what you're calling it these days. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's not what I'm calling it. I'm just saying this is against the law now. This is what they're calling it.
I've never heard of a law that says stealthing. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's
Go ahead.
against the law. It's against the law to if you take off a rubber while having sex with a woman, yeah, you could be charged as a sexual offender for that. They call that
What
stealthing.
state? What state?
I had to get back to you
What?
on that. I could now you're a
Okay.
judge, you might
All
know
right.
something I don't know. But basically
Well, I
the
don't know
bill
that.
that I was building up to, that if they're gonna do that, is it logical for them to charge cross dressers who like did everything to look like a woman to stealth the man? Should they be registered in the federal database where you could just look up somebody's name and tell if they had this done, or any type of thing that they could do to charge? Because to me, that was stealthing is for real. Stealthing is when you're trying to act like you're a straight woman and you're trying to trick heterosexual men. And like I said, I don't see the Republicans pushing for that. But that's why I brought Lawrence E. King, because I think it's a lot of gay people on the Republican party that's low key. And so they're not really trying to charge these gay people who are dressing up like women and had these sex changes and are tricking heterosexual men. I think this gay mafia thing is kind of a bipartisan issue. And I bring up the Franklin scandal on that. But your opinions on like I said, the foreign aid and that, I would love to hear that.
Well, let me just say about the foreign aid. It's a bribe to somebody else to be your friend because you can't control them otherwise. You see, the world is a contest field. There are a lot of powerful enemies out there that might not like you doing what you want to do, so you have to get friends, you have to get alliances, and you have to offer them protection. You also have to bribe some of them. And right now, we have a thing where our hegemony on the world's economy using the dollar as the international medium of exchange is being threatened. You've got BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, plus many others are being added, and they want to go to another monetary standard. And they're recruiting actively so that they can set up another axis of power. We are losing it. So the advantages we have right now won't be there in 25 or 30 years unless something's done to turn this around. Now, back to the other thing.
Update, Judge.
All
I
of the
just
rest
looked
of
it up.
that,
I just looked it up. It's in California. It's a civil penalty. It's not a criminal offense. They're trying to make it a criminal offense, but Time Magazine has the article. You can just look up where is it a crime to stealth someone doing sex or whatever, right?
well, I'll tell you what is more interesting because some of the feminists are pushing for this. They want to create a new crime, a felony rape by seduction. In other words, if you take a date out and the two of you go to a nice restaurant, have a great meal, wine, good time, walk in the park afterwards holding hands, it's spring or fall in your place or mine, and you go there and nature takes its course, petting and hugging, and everybody gets hot, wet, and bothered and does what they do. That's supposed to be a felony now because it's rape by seduction. You're supposed to have some formal agreement that next Friday we're going out on a date, and if you continue to be willing, we'll have sex. And human nature just doesn't work like that, but they don't get it. And I'm not talking about homosexuality, that's completely different. I'm talking about a cult that tries to negate all human character, duty, honor, obligation, responsibility, accountability, bravery, understanding of consequence, making where you live a better, safer, more secure place, filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, where you're dedicated to the proposition of making where you are a place of public peace, dignity, and order. All of that's supposed to go out the window. It's okay to be a coward, to run. It's okay to take the seat when a woman wants it. It's okay to sit there and pretend you're something you're not. It's okay to abandon your responsibility as a man or a woman to your people and to the human race to act accordingly and go do something else. It's nothing is supposed to be there anymore, and that's not how humanity got from cave to condo.
Okay.
So,
Okay. 1 second. We need to go to Christopher, then Coco. Okay, shut up. Wait. Christopher, go ahead.
wasn't me.
Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, Ms. Dana. Um, first of all, you are my hero, Judge Joe Brown. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you on all levels. Um,
Thank you.
I do have a question that's been bothering me for like the last few weeks. I just kind of like want your, I guess, your opinion or like that, your outlook on it. I'm more worried about after the election. Um, it's been proven that Joe Biden's mental decline has been a thing. So sooner or later, there has to be an investigation into the Biden administration to see how far back that goes. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, damn, like, really, what's going to be the blowback from that?
Well, nothing about being mentally deficient. There's no crime in that. But since you bring that up, I'm listening to some doctor friends of mine. They're worried about Kamala, this word salad thing.
Hmm.
It's a cognitive problem that's showing as a symptom of something that's called early onset dementia.
Mm.
He's 60 years old. She's not young. And early onset dementia starts striking in the late 50s and early 60s, and she's right in the middle. And that word salad, tomorrow is what the day is. That's why it's tomorrow, because it's today, tomorrow, which is why we deal with today, because it's tomorrow, but right now. Like, what did you just say?
I always kept saying she
She
looked
doesn't.
like a drunk auntie.
She's also drinks a lot,
Yeah, I could tell.
and it's this giggling and cackling inappropriately. You'd say, "Hey, this is a psycho. What's wrong? This isn't funny." And then somebody wanted to do a friendly analysis on body language. I got deep into body language myself, studied it a lot.
Wait, I'm sorry. We're kind of pressed on time right
Oh,
now.
I
I'm not going to
apologize.
go far on that, but I'm just saying when I read her body language, it's pretty sordid. It's really sick, and that woman needs to have a cognitive examination. Trump's taken 3 and passed them with flying colors. She needs to take one
So this is really the short bus
because
administration. This is really the special ed administration. Wow. Thank you, God.
exactly. So I mean, it's really scary. And can you see word salad Annie
All right,
sitting
I
across the
wanna get on.
table?
Judge, I
Okay,
gotta move to the
I'm
next
finished.
two
I'm
speakers,
finished.
and then I need to close out. All right, go
Okay.
ahead, Coco. Coco Bro.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hi.
Good evening. Thank you for all the wonderful things that I'm hearing, and also I get to hear the other ones who's voting for Kamala. Um, Judge, I read your everything that you tweet, especially the essay. I think it was an essay that you posted, so that was wonderful. I just have two things that I want to ask. The first one would be my concern for the now 500,000 children unaccounted for who have crossed the border. And I find it disturbing that I'm not hearing much of it in the news, in the social media. I mean, not in the social media, but in the media. And there's not a lot of noise from the government that they're going to investigate and so on. And now I'm kind of thinking about the Epstein cases and the lists of Epstein's clients that they would not release. So that's my first concern. The second one would be CCP. I've heard you mention about the Rainbow Coalition, and I just want to know if it's true that the Rainbow Coalition is more of a Maoist group connected to China, considering that this current administration has been giving more, leaning towards, or giving policies that would benefit China, and including um, the recent, I know there's a lot of people that are in the powerful position now that has been arrested as being China's secret agent here. Just wondering, like, how far has the CCP infiltrated our country? Thank you.
Well, let me say this. In a project I did 2 years ago, it was up in New Jersey. In fact, Dana came and we visited when I was up there doing it. I got to see the 300 Biden laptops, and we talked to the technician who downloaded them. And one of the scariest things on there consists of the White House tapes. They're not just vocal or voice like they were in the Nixon administration, but they include the video. And there are scenes in there where there's Obama, there's Biden Hunter, Biden Joe, and they're talking to a Chinese representative who's talking about he put $100 million in cash into this business that Hunter was associated with, and each of the parties in there was supposed to get 10%, i.e., $10 million. You may have recalled a couple of years ago when that started coming out about the $10 million. They just mentioned 10. They didn't mention 10 million to each individual in question. And what was supposed to happen for the $10 million was the Navy was supposed to back off of the aggressive counter patrols against the Chinese Navy. who wanted the time to put these concrete emplacements on these small coral atolls so that China could claim a 200-mile radius around them as Chinese territory and claim the whole South China Sea all the way up to the Philippines and the entire west coast of Japan. And that's what they were essentially doing, and also the coast of Vietnam and Korea. So there was a thing in military times a couple of months after the date of this particular White House tape, and the admirals were complaining that they'd been ordered to stand down from the aggressive counter patrolling. And I found that rather incriminating. And as a matter of fact, we had a sample grand jury for a moot thing, and they found probable cause to believe that Hunter Biden had committed violations of FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act. So there's a lot that has gone wrong, and I think we're in Ukraine not so much for our own purposes, but to secure a reason for Ukraine to dismiss a long, multiple count organized crime indictment against Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, which under the Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, which says ratified treaties are part of the supreme law of the land and are to be enforced by state and local judges. What it says in a treaty ratified by the U.S. Senate in 1999, negotiated by Bill Clinton between Ukraine and the U.S., it says any party indicted by the other signatory to this treaty is to be apprehended, detained, and extradited to the other country that wants them as part of its criminal process. So they published in late October 2020, early November 2021, the unredacted indictments that showed that Hunter and Joe Biden were both indicted heavily. So I guess maybe they're trying to avoid an embarrassing diplomatic moment by having to send Hunter Biden under what is part of the supreme law of the United States over to Ukraine to stand trial. So it looks rather poisonous. But anyway, I'll rest on that.
All right.
Judge, you mean
Anything
it's
else?
like Judge, you mean it's like a blackmail? Like we're paying
Yeah,
billions of
it's a
dollars.
bribe. It's a bribe. We are spending several, we'll ultimately be in hock for several $100 billion to the Ukraine, the way this is going. And we have run through our heavy ammunition stocks. So we have maybe 4 days worth of shoot 'em up capacity if we have a hot thing with the People's Republic of China over Taiwan, which they said by 2025 they have to be 2027, they have to be ready to go on. So you're in a real live mess.
All right.
Judge, oh, sorry. Judge, what about the 500,000 children missing that crossed the borders? How come no one is raising ire or
Because they
investigation
aren't
regarding?
interested. They aren't interested. They have an agenda. And remember, the thing that they're pushing is a cult. And remember what has happened in the past. People have been burned at the stake. They've had crusades. They've had inquisitions. They've had the 100-year wars of religion in Europe, the 40-year-long Protestant Catholic set to, which was within the memories of the parents and grandparents of the people that wrote the Constitution. So, I mean, we've got a mess going on here. And they don't care because it's if by any means necessary, including the sacrifice of innocent children's lives, to get what they want in place and spread it around the world. Go to an embassy or a consulate anywhere in the world and see the insult to the people there who are highly offended about a rainbow flag flying under the United States flag on a flagpole at a U.S. embassy or consulate.
All right, I need to go on to the next speaker, Avia, and then we're gonna close out because it's late. Avia. I know I'm probably saying it wrong. AVEA. You got mute. Okay, maybe she doesn't hear me. All right, so we're just gonna close out. It's almost going on 4 hours. I do see a couple of people requesting, but it's just late. It's just late. Um, 1 second. Let me wait 1 second. Actually, I'll take you, Nibula, because you follow me.
Taking my call. I know you.
Yeah, you're gonna be the last one, and then Judge gonna do his closing remarks. So go
All right,
ahead.
cool, cool. Um, I had a question about the leftist sort of perspective. Mainly, if you feel as though maybe a lot of our people, if they have more of an understanding of the historical context about why a lot of our people went to the left side of the political spectrum, maybe bringing up people like W.E.B. Du Bois and um, and the struggles he was facing at the time that sort of made him, because you mentioned earlier that the United States had to sort of stretch its hands out in order to gain allies. In a sense, I'm not exactly sure how you put that, but like for us, when we were sort of going through the civil rights motions and things of that nature, we tried to reach out to the international stage from a Black nationalist perspective, post Reconstruction. Maybe you could maybe unpack that in a way that this generation can understand. My generation can understand because I'm doing a lot of research, particularly on W.E.B. Du Bois, a lot of his work, how he related to Marcus Garvey, and a lot of these thinkers like Henry McNeill Turner and things of that nature. Yeah.
Okay, it's a long story. Dana's hustling me up here, so I don't have a lot of time. But let's just put it this way: the Democratic Party was founded to promote and spread slavery. They did so. When they felt their slavery was threatened, they started the Civil War. They were the party of the rebel armies that were in a real live insurrection against the Union. They resisted uh, with Jim Crow, segregation, and everything else, and did their damnedest to keep black folk in check. So we lead up to the present, and but for the fact that FDR put that people back to work, and Harry Truman signed stuff like Executive Order 1981, integrating the armed services in 1947. We did not have black people supporting the Democratic Party. They were almost invariably Republican, at least on a local
Well,
level. So
what I meant is how many of us became socialists at the time. Yeah.
socialism, yeah, well, that just came with what happened with the Johnson administration.
Right.
It was an opportunity to supposedly catch up. It was because uh, during the mid 60s, the popular phrase was burn, baby, burn. And, excuse me, uh, it was an effort to do something about it, but enterprising people just say, hey, look, we don't have to take this assistance for the real purpose. We can just have these babies and get paid for having babies, and we don't have to work to support ourselves. And they got poisonous. And there were some things that were put in place, particularly in the South, where they broke up families, black families, white families, brown ones, red ones that were getting this assistance. Some of the people meant well, some of them were just being technocrats, and it all led to hell. And there was the glorification of dysfunction that came out of a number of factors in the late 60s that's led up to where we are right now. It's a poisonous mix. So, where do you go with this? Do you back off and say we got to do something, or what do you do?
Well, my original, because I go to Howard University, and I see a lot of my, a lot of my peers, a lot of them are socialists or have like an appeal to Marxism, so they look up to people like Kwame Ture, and so I kind of was, I'm more more of a centrist myself. But when I would look back, I would see that a lot of our leaders were Republican, like Zora Neale Hurston, Henry McNeil Turner, and things of that nature. But I also noticed that from a perspective of Black Power, that a lot of the conservative tradition among Black nationalists, or like maybe even people like Louis Farrakhan or Malcolm X, they have a lot in common with the Republican Party when it comes to the conservation of certain values. So it feels like there was a shift that they can't really recognize, and that the goalpost has sort of changed in a way that they don't really understand that, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Socialism is a trap.
Right.
Socialism is something it was conceived of as a curative for some wrongs attendant upon laissez-faire capitalism. That is capitalism with no holds barred. Anything goes, and it didn't work too well. There was a lot of exploitation, and it became something that stood in well and served the same functions in a more modern world that was being done with the old landed aristocracy, the commoner and the peasant and the serf. It was replete in the dynamics of old Europe. So socialism was designed to cure some of those ills, but socialism is taken inappropriately as an ends in itself, and England almost completely destroyed itself with that. It doesn't work because you have this thing called human greed, and capitalism that socialism was designed to address was set up so you could take advantage of human greed and turn it to a constructive purpose. There's a balance needed. Some things the government can do well, some things private enterprise can do. Some things private enterprise does very well because it has selfish motives that socialism does not have, and socialism tends not to be motivational. So it's a balance. You have to have the rules that are necessary for a large body of people to interact with each other. Just like if you have a congested freeway system, there are certain rules of the roads, lanes down the highways. The same thing with anything. And socialism was set up initially as a curative, but when it starts becoming the sole ends, it gets bad. And in the ultimate extension, you can see it this way. Go back to the 1930s and review the National Socialist Workers' Party. When you add the German Workers' Party in there, you get something everyone's familiar with through its German acronym. It's called NAZI, Nazi. So Nazi was not a right wing thing, it was a left wing socialist thing. That's what the name stands for, National Socialist Workers' Party. And that bespeaks the evils that you'd fall into if you want to get a socialist situation. Now, I'll leave it at that because I think you have the idea. By the way, my old man's an alumnus of Howard Law School and undergrad, way back in the 40s.
Nice, nice. I really appreciate you answering my question. I've been on here a couple of times, but I kind of, sit back and watch y'all talk. But I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I like young people. Young people don't really come up as much. But so I appreciate you coming up and speaking and asking your questions. So I want to get more young people
Yeah, I appreciate.
to come up as well. I think that's very
Yeah, I
important.
appreciate your space.
Um,
I really appreciate you.
thank you. All right, so this was a really good space. If you want to hear the judge on X Space, he's going to be on News Total X Space tomorrow night. Sometimes he makes a pop up appearance, and he will be on News Total X Space tomorrow night. Now, News Total, he usually just do 2 hours, not 4 like we do here. But so if you requested to come up and you didn't get a chance, request tomorrow at News Toter. I will retweet it. The judge will also retweet it, and you'll see him on there. So you'll get the notification that he's on a space, and that will be tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I just want to first of all, I want to say thank you everybody listening on YouTube, everybody in the chat, and my moderators, Southern Belle, Catellia, OG Patrice. So shout out to everybody on YouTube. And I put a poll on YouTube. Is it time to cancel Roland Martin? 67%, no, 87% said yes, 13% said no, and we have 729 votes. So yeah, it's time for Roland Martin to be canceled because the left, they love the cancel culture. And you need to throw Roland Martin, Uncle Luke, and everybody else up in there. And I want to thank everybody that came up tonight to speak. You know, whether we agree, disagree, it doesn't matter. I really appreciate everybody coming up and speaking their mind and their opinions and perspectives and stuff like that. And to the listeners, I appreciate you guys sticking around listening for the whole 4 hours tonight. um and like I said, the judge will be back on X tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on News Toter. Thursday, we're resuming the Man Up Show on YouTube. So go to the Real Dana on YouTube and subscribe. So Thursday night at 9 p.m. And get that Judge Joe Brown barbecue sauce. You can get it at Amazon. Just type in Judge Joe Brown barbecue sauce on Amazon. You get it quicker. Or you could go to the website, jjbbbq.com. So get that barbecue sauce.
And there's
And
more available than barbecue sauce on the website.
yeah, you get the seasoning, you get the chicken links. So
Beef
on the
links
yeah,
and
the website has
Beyond
more.
Beef. Yeah.
So all right, and good space. Lion Negroes. We have a whole bunch of Lion Negroes. Yes, excuse me, white supremacy exists. It's not going anywhere, but white supremacy does not always have a white face. And I think that's the misconception. And I
And
think let me just finish.
I
I
would
think
say I was going amen. Go ahead.
oh, and yeah, Amore, I'm closing out. So I'm not bringing up any more speakers or more. Sorry, we was up here for 4 hours. But white supremacy don't always have a white face. And for me, what I want Black Americans to understand that people who are not Black and not white, when you take Asians like Chinese, you know, they don't give a damn about your lineage or your history. So you have to take that to consideration to where, quote unquote, people of color in their country, if they ever have an opportunity to control this country, best believe everyone will be under their dictatorship. So they don't play that race card like the politicians on the Democrat plantation like to do here. So that's all I wanted to say. White supremacy doesn't always mean a white face. And if you understand that, you're able to decipher and kind of reveal the truth. But with that said, Judge, please close us out. You know, tie in the Rollins and Uncle Luke's, the ignorance, the Lion Negroes, and the Laughing Hyenas, and all the other stuff.
Oh, do I get to do that? I'll be very brief. That's a big card to
Well, just a
fill in.
summation of the Lion
Yeah.
Negroes.
In other words, one of the ways that the plantation was run is to set up a hierarchy of Negroes to enslave themselves and ensure the slave status of the rest of the slaves on the plantation. That's what we're looking at right now, the modern edition, conducted by the same party that ran the plantations before the Civil War. The Roland Martins, the Al Sharptons, that young man that came on here to give us that propaganda blurb. Uh, I think he showed what the real problem was when he started harping on this thing where they're pushing a feminist position and he is strongly advocating it. And that's part of what the problem is. There's a yin yang balance between men and women that has always had a tension to it, but it's always been necessary because that's how humanity works. Men and women need each other. And when you have somebody trying to throttle down part of the balance and deal with setting up an emasculation situation, that's not good for humanity or any of the people impacted. When you have the same people trying to make it so that people can fake what they are and you don't know what you're looking at, and you destroy boy watching and girl watching, when you have no standards, no shame, no guilt, it all goes bad. And these clowns that we have out here who've been paid to do what they do, whether it's that bunch that was on CNN that made the initial stand for Crying Negro Network, to whether you've got a fake negress who just happens to have the color. And by the way, there are a lot of people that have that color besides legitimate American black folk. Some aren't even classified as Negroid. And we get faked out because we rely upon a media that entertains us, communicates with us, provides us with our news, weather, and a whole lot of things. But that communications industry has become a creature of, a device of, a mechanism of the propaganda that attends these people who are trying to destroy normal humanity. And if you want to think about it, it's not Democratic Party versus Republican. It's normal humanity versus something that's not normal. And that's where our choice is. Do we want to uphold the traditional nuclear family, the sanctity of womanhood and manhood and childhood? Or do we want to allow this to be switched over into those who would groom and export childhood to totally destroy the concept of masculinity and femininity as well? Do we want that? Or do we want something that's healthy? And that's our choice. And that's what we're doing here. Now, I'll let that go. Maybe that covered it, maybe it didn't. But it's good to generate thought.
All right. And with that, good night, everybody. Have a wonderful week. And like I said, you'll see the judge back on X tomorrow night and on YouTube Thursday night at 9 p.m. over on the road, Dana. Bye. Say good night, Judge.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Say good night, Judge. Judge. Where'd he go? I don't know. Maybe he left. All right. Good night, everybody.